News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 123. I didn't say 122 last week, and I also got the year wrong. So it's kind of what happens. It's the third week in year 2022, in year 3 of Batman. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of what we said exactly was going to happen last week. The moment we stopped doing this fucking podcast or posted they're going to drop the Batgirl suit, and they immediately did that. Clay, initial thoughts on the Batgirl suit.
Initial thoughts for me personally, we always talk, we want comic book accuracy.
Yes.
This is comic book accuracy. I don't care if you don't like the suit. I don't care. Oh, I prefer this suit. Oh, I don't like the purple, blah, blah, blah. The one thing that we have always been griping about is let's see something that was from comics be straight into the big screen. And this is it. Like, I say big screen, but it's got to be HBO Max. I absolutely love it. The cowl is a
looks like carbon fiber.
It looks like carbon fiber. Yeah. And carbon fiber is easily and readily available to the majority, to be completely honest. Like, people like buy microfiber freaking carbon fiber, wallets and shit like that, and belts and stuff. So like that material can be available for somebody like a Barbara Gordon, you know? So I like that. You didn't really see the purple hue. Like, you kind of saw it in the photo that Leslie Grace posted on her Instagram and then later posted it on Twitter. This suit blew up that night. It was trending. It was crazy. There was people on both sides of the conversation. And all I have to say is thank you for giving me a comic book accurate suit. That's what I've wanted.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say is it's not my favorite Batgirl suit, and I've said this a million times. It's also probably because it comes off the tail end of what I thought was a great Gail Simone run, and I love that Batgirl suit. And so I was like, oh, they're going with a more like poppy, girly thing, which there's nothing wrong with that. They want to bring in a different type of audience and all that kind of jazz. I'm totally get it. I understand marketing. And especially what Batgirl was trying to do in that story, I understood why she switched up her suit. And so the cool thing about this is it does look like this is fucking handmade kind of shit. Like, it looks like she could make this suit.
Yes.
And so I was like, I like that, because there's already rumors that there's a second suit that is going to be happening in this movie.
Yes. And that's one of the things also. People were like, why did they choose the suit? Why couldn't you go with like the gray and blue? Why couldn't you go with like the armored look? And I'm like, guys, this is Barbara Gordon that has not met Batman.
Yeah.
This is Barbara Gordon saying, hey, I want to go out and be a vigilante. She's not going to have the Wayne money to build a Batgirl suit. So when she finally does meet Bruce Wayne and knows that he is Batman, boom, now she has the resources from him to make a quote unquote proper armored, vigilante Batgirl suit.
Yeah. And that's what I like. And I think that's also what I'm still waiting for in the Batman, because I still think that suit looks cosplay-y, although they've tried to make it look really badass.
Yeah.
But it does look like fucking, what do they call it? Warblaw foam or whatever they call that foam. That's what it looks like. So I'm hoping that Batman also gets a different type of suit. But I did enjoy that. I was like, okay, this looks like it's handmade. It looks like a freaking, jacket you could buy at the store, which that's probably going to be the hottest fucking jacket come the end of the year when this movie comes out.
Oh, people are going to buy the Hot Topic's going to make that jacket.
Oh, hell yeah. It's probably going to have the cape too. You're going to be able to detach it if you want to. But I highly suggest that to be very popular. But here's the thing I like about it. One, I believe, at least in our Discord, somebody shared a different photo. I don't know if that was you.
It was me. It was the photo of her on top of the bus. She is using goggles.
That looks cool.
It does look cool. I really do like it. There was even I didn't share this one on Discord, but I have it here on my computer. where they basically just zoom in on specifically her. She looks great.
Yeah.
The belt, I like the belt. I dig the little like capsule things that are alongside her
Hmm.
waist and stuff that are on the belt also. Um, I want to know what, I'm sure she is using GCPD stuff
Yeah.
because apparently she works for the GCPD in this movie.
Hmm.
She's using their resources to become Batgirl,
Yeah.
and I just want to see how she's getting away with it. Like I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think this movie is going to be pretty exciting. I'm surprised. I see. Here's what I want to know about these HBO Max movies. If this movie starts building crazy hype, can they convert it to a big screen movie or
So
no?
there are rumors. There are rumors. Again, let me reiterate. These are rumors
Yeah.
that because they've already announced Blue Beetle to be a day and date release with HBO Max and in theatrical,
Yeah.
there are now rumors that Batgirl will do the same. Um,
Hmm.
I
Extra
am
money.
I am almost ready to say yes because of, for one, you have Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
I think that as much as he is not my favorite Batman, he does sell tickets when it comes to Batman.
Hmm.
So it could easily be a, hey, Michael Keaton's in here, let's do it. But if the rumors are true, and we'll get onto this a little bit more, and we kind of talked about it in our earlier episodes, but if there is in fact a Robin in here and possibly a debut of Nightwing,
Yeah.
they may go ahead and be like, okay, this movie might be a little too big. Let's go and put it into theaters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think she looks great. I can't tell, but in the original photo, did they show her boots? I don't think they
No,
showed that
they
in the
do
original one,
not.
right? So
They
I
do.
like the second photo
The
because she,
second photo, they do show the yellow boots.
yeah. So I like that. You want to know my favorite thing about this purple outfit, even if people don't like it? If this is a hit, it will showcase that Batman doesn't need to be in black and gray all the fucking time or all
Yeah.
black.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they will take the chance on a blue and gray suit. That's
Oh, man.
all I
Well,
want.
that reminds me. I don't know if I shared it in Discord. I think I might have. But they ruined the fucking mural that
Oh, wait. Oh yeah, I
they
saw that one.
they spray painted all over Robin, and
Mhm.
then they put Michael Keaton's Batman suit and his likeness and face on top of the Batman that was originally on there.
Wait, it's not a different thing?
No, that's the exact same mural.
Huh? Are you talking about the one with the that you posted in a spoiler chat with the
Yeah.
anarchy on it?
Yeah, and I said they fucked it up by making it look like Keaton. That's the exact same mural.
Why would they do that? Do you think
I
it's going to be part of the movie?
I think that the original mural was a placeholder until
Hmm.
they were able to put Keaton's likeness on there now. Now that I see Keaton's likeness on there, they're like, people may not know who this is. Boom, Keaton. And I'm just like, God damn it.
Interesting.
Because I like that other suit. It looked really cool. You got the white eyes. Like, at least he
Yeah.
gives you like an idea of like, oh shit, this is a new Batman. And like
I just
seeing this
I
older
don't know,
suit.
man. That I think this might be a bait and switch. Because one thing, murals never look exactly like, I mean, real murals, right? They never look
Yeah.
exactly like the real person. Although we do have some artists here in San Antonio that look pretty fucking fire with
Yeah.
their shit. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I don't think that they would like. Why would you even make the original one in the first place? You know what I mean? Like you've known
Yeah.
Keaton's gonna be there forever, so there's no
Yeah.
point. So I think it's just a separate thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not. I don't know. I think this one's just an up close one of Keaton with the anarchy over it. So I don't know if that does say anarchy. It says AKA, but I'm curious. But yeah, I don't think. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna be. It would be weird to show that and then kind of erase it, unless the buzz got so big that they're like, "Oh, we got to change it."
Yeah,
Um,
maybe. Well, I
but
will say this movie is up and going, man. You know, you're getting these set photos. There is apparently a video of Firefly already.
yeah, I
Um,
saw that.
I have not watched it. I
Mhm.
don't know if they revealed like a suit or anything.
I didn't see. I just saw a building like on fire,
On
like
fire,
with
yeah.
smoke and stuff. Yeah. That was about
But
it. I didn't
like
watch the whole thing though.
the directors are very fucking active though. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if you saw everybody complaining about the
Mhm.
suit. Their response was the Batman slapping Robin meme,
Yeah.
and it looks like cos and like it's Robin being cut off, and then
Yeah.
Batman slaps him and says, wait until you actually see the movie."
Yeah.
And then they've been using that meme a lot to respond to like some of the hate that's been going
That's
on with
good. That's cool.
with this movie, and I think it's very, very cool. They've
Yeah.
been posting videos on Instagram like saying like it's fucking Gotham, this is insane. Like they're
Yeah.
really excited about making this movie, which is I'm glad to see. You know,
Yeah.
it's we've always talked about how making your platform for these movies can't just be like they were. You've
Mhm.
always said, because you're a big proponent for YouTube, that you need to be active, especially in this
Yeah.
new, modern world that is so active on YouTube and social media and things like that.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like this, making these little TikToks, videos, whatever, it gets people excited. And
Yeah.
I really dig it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited they're being open about it. Um Yeah, and I mean, I think everybody sees the James Gunn approach, right? Like James Gunn is
Yeah.
actually somebody that is pretty active when it comes to stuff, and people love his movies for it. Like they're like, yeah, he's a good director. We're not going to get into the drama that happened this week with Gunn and that craziness that's happening.
I saved everything just in case.
Yeah,
I will just say, um, Ray, I love you, man, but you got to pick your battles. But I will
yeah,
say, uh, I just want to throw this in here because I think it's actually hilarious.
uh-huh.
There was a big expose on Joss Whedon,
Yeah.
and
I
it
didn't bother
was
reading that. It was so
well,
long.
it was really long, but I went ahead and read the whole thing because Whedon had some quotes in there that I'm like, you can't, like, why would you say this stuff? Apparently, they pitched the interview as if it was his like big comeback,
Uh huh.
and it was actually like, hey, we're going to expose you for everything that you are. And they interviewed other people that he had like harassed and manipulated and all of that stuff, so it actually makes him look like a bigger asshole.
Oh,
And
see, I didn't read it. It comes off like it just looked like it was his comeback thing. I didn't read it though,
yeah,
so
it definitely isn't. It definitely
yeah,
isn't. But it's so funny because you read all this horrible stuff from all these other people, and then smack dab in the middle is Joss Whedon thinking that he's like the king of the world, and then it
hmm
goes back to other people, saying horrible things about him, and I'm just like, dude, you did not read the room when you were doing this interview. And I understand that it was probably the journalist that kind of just
yeah.
like made it feel like that's what it was going to be. But I mean, yeah, like I don't think he's said
I'm
anything about it since then, but
I'm
it's
curious.
rough.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's any like legal litigation that you can get in trouble for stuff like that. Like, I know hit pieces are a thing, and like you can because see, but the thing is, I don't know like if this would be defamation because you have to have the intent that you were trying to make them look. I mean, that's kind of bad though. But it has to say that it hurts their career. Josh Whedon's kind of on a downturn already, so they could argue that well, he's already been in a lot of hot water, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of drama going on in the Twitch space because of Pokimane and Ninja going at it with some drama, and there's
I've been
defamation being
seeing,
thrown
I
around there.
haven't really read into that, but
It's
what is all that?
ridiculous. It's a waste of time. But it's a waste of time. Like it's just no point. Like I even did a video on it, but it was like Ninja wasn't even involved at that point, and now
Yeah.
it's just like fucking ridiculous. But yeah, they say like defamation's really hard to prove. But I'm
Mhm.
just like, it's super like I'm not here to defend Joss Whedon at all. I'm just like, in my perspective, if somebody was like, "Hey, we're gonna try to like PR move you, make you come back, and like do this stuff," and then it turns around to be a hit piece on you, I feel like that's misleading and, should be something like
Well,
that. You
like
know what I mean?
don't get me wrong, it was kind of a dirty trick. Like
Yeah.
that is 100% what they did, but like you got to give some props to the people that had the balls to be able to like do the
Yeah.
bait and switch, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But then I think there's a lot of moral dilemmas, man. That's why I try to stay in the middle on some topics. Or some things you just can't stay in the middle on, or you just
Yeah.
look bad. But when I don't know. Are roles reversed? If this was a woman, would it be the same? You know, we had this
Yeah,
discussion last
yeah,
week with switching up races and stuff like that, and it's a little tricky, man. It is what it is. But you know what? I didn't read the article, but and this could be the thing too is I didn't read the article, and you were telling me it was supposed to make him look like it was his comeback tour. I was like, all right, yeah, they're just doing a piece to make him look good, and so I didn't read it. So
yeah,
technically, there's people out there that probably be like, he's just trying to come back. So very interesting. Works both ways, I guess.
yeah.
Either way, Batgirl stuff looks awesome. We are hearing, we talked about this last week, that there's a possibility of a Nightwing casting coming very soon.
Yes.
Or
So
Dick
just
Grayson. We're not going to say
yes,
Nightwing.
yeah. So just like the Batgirl suit, this will probably drop. We have no idea if this is confirmed, and then it'll get confirmed while you're probably listening to this episode
Yeah.
or later this weekend. Because as I said, these resources that I'm looking at and talking to, uh, it seems that we are probably going to see Dylan O'Brien
Yeah.
as Dick Grayson announced very, very soon. He was on top of, I said this last episode, he was on top of everybody's like fan casting when Chris McKay was in charge of the Nightwing movie way back when.
Yeah.
And now everybody still thinks I think he definitely has the look. I think he
Hmm.
is very much like the pretty boy, the heartthrob of when he was younger.
Hmm.
Um in the movie American Assassin. I watched it a part of uh it was when we were both working together and we had those 2 weeks that we were able to take off because of COVID.
Yeah.
I watched it during that time and I was like, okay, I can see him taking a serious take on the character of, whatever he's doing. Uh, but for me, I'm not entirely like I feel like he was always the like because he was a big he was going to be a big franchise guy. He was gonna do the Maze Runner. He
Yeah.
was doing the second film and then he got injured. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
that whole production was like, well, because you're injured, we're not gonna move forward with any of the movies.
That's
And
crazy.
it just ended his franchise career. And then so he started doing the smaller stuff. He was in a couple Netflix things and then American Assassin. And I do think that if this is true, this will bring him back into the limelight. He will start getting, bigger and better stuff, I think. And I think it's good. I think that he will work well with the cast and crew. Him and Keaton work together on American Assassin, so they already have chemistry together. So it will not be hard to depict them as Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he's originally he was when the Nightwing movie was coming around, he was one of the top people to do it. Now, I'm curious if this would keep Homeboy that's supposed to do Nightwing from doing the movie now. Because wasn't he trying to cast like an authentic something
So
something?
it's funny that you say that because a lot of people have had this conversation. They're like, "So is Chris McKay coming back to make this movie? What's going on?"
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know this, and I feel like we probably had this conversation before.
Hmm.
But he apparently put out a poll on Twitter asking people, "Hey, what is the one thing that you want in a Nightwing casting?"
Yeah. Hmm.
And the majority vote was somebody who can do their own stunts.
Yeah.
Not a good actor, not somebody who looks like the character. Hey, somebody who can be a gymnast and do their own stunts.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's cool, but looking back at it, like, is that really the greatest thing you can do for a high budgeted superhero movie?
No, I mean, look at and didn't Shyamalan do that with fucking Avatar? Look at how shitty that movie was.
Yeah, like you look at that, you look at freaking the newest Mortal Kombat with the main
Oh,
character.
yeah. That movie's so awful. There
It
wasn't
was
even any Mortal Kombat in it. No
No, it
tournament.
was
Like,
so bad. There was no tournament, but that
ugh.
main character, I keep forgetting his name. But a lot of people wanted him for Nightwing.
Oh
And
no.
he can do his own stunts and stuff, but he's a horrible actor.
Yeah.
Like I equated him to Tommy Oliver in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like
Oof.
that's the kind of acting that he does in Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat. And I don't want any of that in, a Nightwing movie.
Yeah.
So I think that you get a good actor, you pay a stunt double, and get good editors to make the movie look good. That's what
Yeah.
you do,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
no,
know?
you have to. I mean, if it wasn't for fast cars and hot women, Vin Diesel wouldn't have a career, right? Like nobody goes to Fast and the Furious for Vin Diesel. Like they don't. They go for the family. Like that's what fucking everybody goes for. Because Vin Diesel's a shit actor. I'm sorry.
Oh,
He's
he is.
fucking
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah, yeah.
We only saw Bloodshot to go see Isa Gonzalez. That is the only reason. It wasn't
Yeah.
for fucking Vin Diesel. And she's
That
not
was
that great
that
of an
was
actress either.
almost the last movie we would have seen
Yeah.
during COVID.
Yeah. But you know what? The last two movies that we saw right before COVID both had Latin representation in it. So,
That's true.
Rosie
Yeah,
Rosie
yeah.
Perez, we had her. So it's what we do. We represent. But yeah, Vin Diesel's a shit actor. And like, what else has he been in? That isn't movies that he produces.
Oh, nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can't really go off of that. I think you can kind of get away with it with female actresses if you
Mhm.
put them in the seductive roles. Like Isa Gonzalez, unfortunately, like if you do go look at a lot of her roles, she's playing the sexy girl or the bad girl or something like that. And she can kind of get away with it. Because it's all about her looks and stuff like that. That's why I thought she would be good with Catwoman, because I think she could pull off the sexy stuff.
Yeah.
Now if they got really dramatic with it, then it's gonna be like, oh, okay, maybe we'll see. And maybe that's why she lost. Maybe that's why she lost to, Zoe. So Zoe? Yeah, right, crap.
Yeah.
I guess getting her confused with Zendaya. But yeah, like that's kind of, how that goes. So I would definitely go with somebody that can actually act. And, it's fuck it. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was talking to my friend who was asking me about uh is Batman Superman gonna die, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. I was telling him about the rumor of getting getting a Batgirl and Supergirl to replace Batman and Superman in the Justice League in the movies. And it snapped on me that two of the three Trinity, if Shazam is going to be the third Trinity, are going to be Latino, or at least half.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck yeah. We're
Yeah,
in the
it's
Trinity,
awesome,
bitch.
dude.
Like, hell yeah. I was like, we better get some good shit if that's going to be the case then.
No, I told this because this was a really big talking point when the news first broke, and I'm the only Hispanic in one of my groups in my
Yeah.
group chat that was having that conversation, and I did a GIF of a whole bunch of people in sombreros, and I was like, "We're taking over."
Yeah. I mean, fuck it. If they don't want to have Shazam, just make Blue Beetle the third one, and we got all three spots,
Oh,
baby.
fuck yeah.
We'll just do that. Fuck it. Zachary Levi, get out of here. We got Blue Beetle. I mean, because if he's gonna be DC's version of Spider-Man, like, I don't see how that's not a hit. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people, and hopefully, man, I think Blue Beetle is going to be a hit. I think that it'll get a lot of eyes on him.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're going to start seeing him pop up again in comics because he has been gone for way too long.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to be on the big screen also.
Yeah. I am definitely for that too, but we'll have to wait and see, man. Dude, I think Flash is the weakest point out of everything right now. I feel like the Flash movie, I'm hoping, could possibly be the last dud in the DCEU stuff. But I think if the Flash movie is good and everybody likes the Flash movie, I think we're good going forward. Because everything else is looking pretty solid.
Yeah, there's actually this will be something that we talk about in my DC Alliance show next week, but it looks like even Black Adam is starting to get some spin-offs. We're getting Hawkman and
Yeah, that's
Hawkgirl.
can we see some of these movies? Like,
Yeah, that's what you had said. You was like,
Yeah.
God damn it! Like, why don't we see some of this stuff before there's spin-offs of the movies that we haven't seen? I can see why, like, the most recent DC movie would be, well, I mean, shit, Batman already has all the fucking spin-offs that have come to it. The one after that, though, what's next? Fuck. Would it be
Penguin?
No. The next
movies?
Yeah, the next movie.
Aquaman, Flash.
Well, Aquaman is in December. Flash is in I think the beginning of November.
Yeah.
Before that though, I don't know if
You
fuck.
think Aquaman gets pushed because of fucking Avatar?
So I was also having this conversation. People are like, it would be smart for Aquaman to move. And I
Who
was
gives a
like,
fuck about Avatar though?
that's what I said. And they're like, oh, it's not about if they're scared of Avatar. It's just less competition and more money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. You move it back. If you move it back further, people are
Mhm.
gonna forget about it. And you'll have to move other movies. They
Yep.
move it forward. If they move it sooner, Flash barely gets a month
Yeah.
of
I think you
screen
move
time by
Flash
itself.
forward and put Aquaman in Flash's spot. Because
You
what's coming out in between
that
Batman and Flash?
That's what I can't remember. I
Yeah.
don't think shit, Black Adam.
When's that come out? We're
I
getting
think
4 movies this year?
yeah, we're gonna have 4 movies this
Oh,
year.
fuck. That's if Batman doesn't get pushed.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, God. If it gets pushed, dude, it's gonna be so bad.
I'm
Uh,
pretty sure, let's see, Black Adam release date.
I feel like if Batman gets pushed, it gets pushed to
July
May.
29th is Black
Yeah.
Adam, is summer.
Yeah.
And I
Oh, fuck.
think as far as, competition goes, Black Adam is going up against Thor Love and Thunder, I think. They're gonna
Hmm.
cross paths as far as like release time. I don't know if it's the same weekend, but it's very close. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Interesting.
but I'm pretty sure The Rock will hold the throne
Yeah, I
for
think
a
he
while.
can. That'll be funny content between both of them, though. If
Hmm.
like back and forth when he's like, I'm because it's like thunder,
Yeah,
there's the
yeah.
lightning in both of them,
I'm
so
sure Hemsworth and him will go back and forth.
that'll be good content for probably both movies, to be honest. So I'm pretty sure The Rock will do something there. But yeah, damn, it's I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably excited about Batgirl more than most of those,
Yeah,
to be
which is
honest.
crazy.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and I said, Batman. We've known this movie is in the works for
Should have been out
years.
last year.
Should have been out last year, and the fact that Batgirl barely got greenlit and is
Mhm.
already in production and also rumored to even possibly being a fall release for 2022,
Yeah.
like holy shit, like
Yeah.
that is hype within itself. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about Batgirl. I'm ready to see the Firefly costume. I'm ready to see a possible Dick Grayson sighting, and maybe even Robin sighting. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah. Do you think they have to do the Nightwing origin story?
I don't think they need to do the Nightwing origin story, but I this is what I told people on DC Alliance. So I think what's going to happen, I think Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be against Batgirl becoming Batgirl,
Mm.
and he's gonna be like, oh well, basically be against it for as like a partner to
Yeah.
him, to Keaton, and he's gonna reminisce about his old partner,
Yeah.
because there is, we've read the stories. When Robin left the Batcave, it was quote unquote not on good terms,
Yeah.
but it was mainly because, Batman really did want Dick Grayson to go on his own and be his own person and,
Yeah.
do better without him. And so there was a little muddy
You think they
water
go
in
with
that.
you think they go with that storyline over the animated one?
Animated was, I'm trying to
The
remember.
animated one is where Batman was being really aggressive and Dick Grayson's like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And then it turns out that Batman actually saved the life of that criminal and gave him a job at Wayne Tower.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it go either way, because
Hmm.
in either direction you see Dick Grayson as not having a you see Dick Grayson as not having a good idea of
Relation. Yeah.
who Keaton's Batman would be at that
Yeah.
point. And so, Keaton tells Barbara about or Bruce tells Barbara about this old partner. She goes and finds him,
Mm-hmm.
and then that is why we get the casting of Nightwing or Dick
Yeah.
Grayson, and he reminisces in that flashback, shows a younger Robin.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Or you could do the whole thing where it's just Batman the whole time and be like, "Hey, you're still," because she's gonna get her ass beat at some point in this movie,
Oh,
right? And
100%.
it's probably what's gonna ruin her suit. It's gonna catch on fire or something like that. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna need a new one." He's like, "I can get you one." He'd be like, "Hey, since he's supposed to be like the Samuel L. Jackson of DCU, right, or Nick Fury,
Yeah.
he's gonna be showing up in other movies."
The mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be like, I can't stick around for you, but I got somebody who can train you. And then you bring in Dick Grayson.
And I can't remember if we mentioned this in our last episode, but there's been a whole lot of people arguing you can't have a DC universe without a Batman.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like against Michael Keaton staying as Batman, as a 70-year-old Batman fighting
Yeah.
alongside younger heroes. And yes, you could make the jokes that were made in No Way Home and, all of that with, oh, my back, oh, I'm too old for this stuff, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But I don't really want that. And
Hmm.
so people were like, oh, well, if Keaton isn't Batman, maybe a Dick Grayson could be
That's what
Batman.
I said on the last one. Or was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was
I
2 weeks
said
ago.
that. We talked about it in
Yeah.
depth. But we're very good at coming up with ideas and then DC lets us down. So I don't want to hold my breath there. But I would love for Michael Keaton to be in a few of these. See, here's the thing. You need Michael Keaton to fight in some of these movies, have a stunt double, but at one point he needs to get his ass beat and he needs to pick up a gun and he needs to point it at somebody. And then
Oof.
that's what sets up Batman Beyond. He's like, I'm going back to my own time.
If
I can't do this anymore.
I would really love for them to do that story,
Yeah.
to get to the point of him picking up a gun.
Yeah.
And like, even I don't know if I would like it this much, but even if he like picks up a gun and has like a flashback of freaking Jack Nicholson's Joker,
That'd be
and,
fire.
and he just sees
Nicholson's
the
still
long
alive, right?
barrel.
Nicholson's still alive. Can you
Yeah.
imagine a fucking Joker like in a wheelchair or something like that? And he's all like, I got my new guy if you have your new guy.
Well, I
Like, you
think
know
it
what I
would be
mean?
more of like just imagine if Joker was still trying to be the Joker at 70, just
Yeah.
like Batman is still trying to be Batman at 70.
Yeah.
And like he gets so like desperate, he picks up the gun and Joker is just laughing. He's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I finally got you. Like, here you are.
Yeah.
Like, that would be kind of sick.
Yeah, that would be interesting, man. If they can get them both on the screen together again before they both one of them kicks the bucket, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because last time I saw Nicholson, he's always looked kind of wiry and kind of
Mhm.
crazy, but like I don't know, he doesn't look as good as Keaton, in my opinion. But again, he's been out of the limelight forever. Didn't he just recently do a movie and everybody's like, oh shit, he's coming back? You know what I
Nicholson?
mean? I think so. He
I would
hasn't
have
been
to.
doing shit.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
He just goes to Laker games, and that's it. That's all I know about him is he
Yeah.
goes to watch basketball games. And didn't he wasn't he like really good with friends with Sean Connery, and then Sean Connery died, or is he alive? He died recently, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I don't know. One of them I know bought the house next to them and put like "fuck you" on the rooftop or some shit like that because people were circling their house. If I'm not mistaken, one of them did that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I gotta look that up, but I'm pretty sure they put that because like people were like paparazzi was like crazy or some shit. But yeah, both of those guys didn't do shit towards the end of their careers, right? Like they had
Yeah.
enough money and they were like, fuck it. Anyways, we spent enough time on Batgirl. Super excited. I'm pretty sure we'll get a Nightwing drop tomorrow, and we'll have to talk about it next week. But let's jump over to the next Batman movie. Obviously, the main Batman movie that's not been talked about that much is they finally today dropped the full Batman theme. Now, you started listening to this the moment we started this podcast, or right before this podcast, I should
Yeah.
say. I listened to it earlier. I listened to it a couple of times. And my main takeaway from it was people are only going to remember the dum, 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 dum. That's all people are going to remember from this thing. What are your thoughts on it?
I liked it. I think it is a total. Let me actually go back to it. It's a total of like 6 minutes and 40
Yeah.
something seconds. It's a nice, good theme. And like you said, when we were kind of talking about it before we started recording, it has its low points, it has its high
Hmm.
points. We're going to get, I think, the whole thing throughout the film. I
Yeah.
think there will be moments of uh, Batman being in solemn or being in quiet moments where you'll hear the quiet moments.
Hmm.
And I am pretty sure if the chase scene doesn't have its own theme, that we will get a majority of that theme there as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I dig it. But like I said, just like you, I think whenever people think of the Batman, it'll be that trailer. It will
Yeah.
be that moment of the big bombastic doom doom
Yeah.
doom 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 doom
Yeah.
doom. Yeah, it's still fire. I think that Giacchino is one of the greatest composers right now for superhero films. He's been in Star Wars, he's been in Marvel, he's been in in DC now. Like
Yeah.
that guy is unstoppable.
Yeah. Still got a ways to be Hans Zimmer, though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But as long as this movie doesn't, I don't want, dude. Zack Snyder killed themes for me in that fucking with Wonder Woman, bro. In that 4 hours of just da 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 da. I was like, oh my god, I get it. She has a fucking theme. I get it. Like Jesus. So I don't want that to happen. I don't think that will happen. But God, I've never seen somebody do that before. But yeah, so the theme was cool. Like I said, I do think that that's really what people are going to remember from it. There is nods to older Batman themes in it if you really pay
Mhm.
attention. And so I thought that was kind of cool. But I'm pretty sure that's what he said at the start of like creating this, that he was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to pay homage to the past and shit." So that was kind of cool. You also mentioned that the runtime dropped, right? I
Yes.
don't know what this runtime is.
The runtime is a total of 167 minutes, meaning 2 hours 55 minutes for the movie with
Ooh.
a 8-minute credits. This has been confirmed via Pattinson himself in an interview. I believe with there was a new expose for like movie magazine or whatever it
Hmm.
is.
I saw some
That
headline about him talking about him making that joke about not working out came to bite him in the ass or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's from the same interview, but
I'm looking at it right now. Looking for at least the expose headliner or whatever it's called.
almost 3 hour movie. God,
Yeah,
that's gonna test my patience.
it
I'm not
is
gonna lie.
it is the longest Batman movie to date right now.
Whew, man, I don't
Longer
know,
than
dude.
The
I
Dark
will
Knight.
say, watching anime has killed my attention span.
Well,
Like,
it's so funny because like this joke has been made a lot on TikTok recently. It's
yeah,
been made a lot on Twitter and everything else. How like people will get upset of like a freaking 3 hour movie, a four
yeah,
hour movie, but can sit down and watch like an entire season of anime or a
yeah,
Netflix series in one sitting and it
mhm,
be a total of like 8 hours or something.
yeah,
There's a difference, people. You can
mhm.
pause those, you can take breaks. Like,
Well, the intro theme, if you watch those and you're not skipping them, breaks the tension every time.
yeah,
It's not a solid thing. It's because you hear the same intro and you're like, oh, episode's over, or it ends on an intro or an outro, and so you're like, oh yeah, I could stop if I want to. A movie, you don't have that luxury.
yeah.
Like you can't just pause it. I mean, well, HBO Max right now you could if you wanted to, but
It's Movie Maker magazine is the
mm,
magazine that did this whole expose. The cover of the magazine actually looks really really cool. And it's a good like I think 6 or 7 pages in the magazine
yeah,
that did for the whole thing, if not more. May have to look that up. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's I will say I still remember like because I was working at the theater at the time. I, for free, saw The Dark Knight over 30 times.
that's nuts.
It was insane. But I was still in high school. I had no life. I had nothing
Yeah.
to do on weekends sometimes. And so I'm just like, "Oh, I can go see Batman again." Uh, but in my older age,
Would you say that's the movie you've seen the most? What's the movie you've seen the most in your whole life, you think?
ooh, either The Dark Knight or Princess Bride.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen Dumb and Dumber a lot. Like I love Dumb and Dumber. It's my favorite movie of all time.
You want to hear the most annoying
Comedy.
sound ever?
Yeah. Like I could quote that movie. Like it's my favorite. But I don't think it's a movie I've seen the most because there's one summer when we had like actual cable or something at my old house when I was growing up. I saw the movie SWAT so many fucking times.
Isn't that the Samuel Jackson, Colin Farrell?
Yes.
Okay.
I watched it. It has what's his name? It has fucking Hawkeye in it.
Yeah.
He's the villain. I saw that movie so many fucking times for some reason. I would always be washing dishes or doing whatever. It was just like on loop on one of these HBO Max channels. And SWAT, okay. I would just watch it over and over and over because I like the concept of it. And when I was younger, I was like, I want to be a SWAT person when I grow up. Only because I only ever wanted to bust through windows. That's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't want to save people or anything. No, I just wanted to jump from a building and bust through a window. All I ever wanted to do.
Nice.
But I think the other movie that I may have seen more than that is fucking Speed Racer. Because I would use that movie to show off new TVs at my job. So I saw Speed Racer like once a day for like 2+ years. Like it was insane. Like it was crazy because every time it has so many colors in it that you'd be like, oh, here, yeah, let me show you what this TV looks like. And I would just have Speed Racer across like 50 TVs. And it'd be like, yeah. So I was like, oh, that part's coming up. Oh, this thing. Oh, yeah, this part's dope. And like I would just watch Speed Racer so much. And I think that movie's fucking underrated. I think people hate on it for a lot of wrong reasons. But anyways, so there's that. But yeah, 3 hours. That's, dude, if that movie has low points, people are going to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it better be a banger.
I genuinely think that the low points, though, hopefully, because one of the big with that expose, they're titling it Batman the Detective Story.
Mm-hmm.
So I am hoping that the low points in this movie are those detective moments that has the audience questioning, like, trying to figure it out,
Yeah, for sure.
And I understand not everybody is like that, but I'm hoping that this movie does engage you that much that you're not having those lulls of like, okay, let's move on. This is boring. Let's go on. Go.
Well, let's just hope the trailer hasn't shown all the action already, because that would be terrible. But speaking about those people that want to know the story already, you might not have that luxury because it feels like we know the whole fucking movie from the trailers already, because we did have Drew dropping something in our spoiler chat mentioning how this is the actor that is going to be playing Thomas Wayne in the movie. So I'm assuming flashbacks. Are we going to get another Wayne death scene for the billionth time?
That has come up because I think it has now been confirmed that this person is playing Thomas Wayne for sure.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're not going to do another death scene. And I said, everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody who makes a Batman movie wants to do it. It's the most iconic scene for Batman.
Yeah.
That outside of like becoming the Bat. Like those two scenes are the most iconic scenes of Batman. So
I agree.
I think I said this. If we do not see it visually on screen, we will audibly hear it of like Batman thinking of the past.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't mind just seeing flashbacks of him with his parents. It's not hard to do. Why can't you do it? Although, as much as I shit on Zack Snyder, I think he has probably the best version of it. Because the prose breaking, prose breaking is great. Zack Snyder's intros are usually fire. The rest of the stuff, questionable in my opinion. All right, his intros are fire. But in this article that he dropped, or this segment of this article, it talks about how that actor's reading material, which you see this every time somebody gets a role in comic book movies, they're like, this is my source material, or this is what I'm reading to prepare for this role. And he just so happened to be picking Batman Sins of the Father and the adventure game the Batman Telltale series, which in both of those things, the Waynes are bad people. So kind of confirming what we've already been talking about. Drew did say this was lazy writing, which we've kind of already mentioned this on the fucking podcast before.
Yeah,
It's,
and
you know.
here's the thing that I will reiterate for newer people that have started listening to our podcast. You can make an argument that it's lazy writing because, oh, this has been done before,
Mhm.
but it has not been done on the big screen. It's been done in video games. It's been done in comics. It's been done uh, probably anywhere other than a theater. It's probably been done in a cartoon
Yeah.
or animated movie or whatever, but it has not been done in a bigger on-screen scenario where the general audience will be like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
Waynes are bad." And it picks up the theme that is very, very strong right now in 2022 and in 2020s. It's the fact that, like, hey, rich people are not all that great.
Yeah.
And, kind of going back to a callback of this podcast with Kelly Sue DeConnick saying, oh, Batman can't be a good character because he's rich and rich
Yeah.
people aren't great. Um, but the best thing about it is we know as
Mhm.
Batman fans is he's gonna find this out. It's gonna suck for him as Bruce Wayne, but it's not gonna change anything that he does as Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe it
Or
will.
so
We
we
don't
hope.
know. Yeah.
Or so we hope.
Yeah, because I'm like, see, this, I guess this is a moral dilemma, right? If you built your whole crusade on the thought of your parents dying or whatever, and you find out that your parents were shitty people, do you not think that hurts your crusade?
Oh, I think it very much does.
Yeah.
Like, if the world were to find out who Batman was, and
Yeah.
then like, because it's the same thing as people looking up old tweets and shit. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you find out who Batman is. Oh, it's Bruce Wayne. Let's
Mhm.
start digging into Bruce Wayne's life. Oh, look, his parents were freaking dirty. Like how do we
Yeah.
know that he isn't just the same as a dirty cop now, Like
Yeah.
it would all be within all that. So for sure.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I could see him easily being like, you know what? Even if my parents were bad people, it doesn't mean that good people aren't dying or don't need help, you know? So I feel like you can easily continue the crusade. But yeah, I do think that that might be pretty damaging because, like, I know I had ideas of friends like, oh man, it'd be cool if, later on in life we can do this, and then I turned out they were shitty people, and I'm like, man, fuck all of those dreams and aspirations that I had with friends if they're
Yeah.
shitty. Like, I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I know stuff like that can change your perception on things. So I'm just curious on how this is going to play out in the movie. But I will say it does seem like they are going with the Batman I am not the most fond of, and they're picking some of the stories that are not my favorite. Although I love the Telltale series. I thought the Telltale series was good, but it's because I was interactively like playing that, and I was like, "Oh, this
Hmm.
is cool."
Yeah.
And but for the most part, I do feel like, yeah, I don't know, man. This movie, I'm gonna absolutely love it, or I might dislike it, and that's really like fucking anxiety ridden for me. I was like, I don't want to hate this movie,
Well,
man.
no, like it's there's a lot of things on people's shoulders for this movie, and there's a lot of things on this movie's shoulders when
Yeah,
it comes to expectations. You
yeah,
know, this is the first solo Batman movie since freaking what it- Batman Rises, The Dark Knight
yeah,
Rises.
hmm,
This is the very first solo Batman movie, and so like, that's almost been 10 years,
yeah.
almost, which is absolutely insane. It's almost I think it has been no. It was 2012, I think,
How many
or
Spider-Man movies have been made in between those two movies?
3, 5.
Yeah, that's insane.
uh, yeah, so it's been 9 years since Dark Knight Rises. And so that one didn't end on a great note. There
Yeah,
was a lot of conflicting thoughts of that movie. And so you're like, okay, like where do we go from here?
yeah,
And I think Matt Reeves has it down. There was another quote from him this week that basically cemented the fact that like this is a grounded universe. And
yeah,
again, like I don't necessarily like that because it's
yeah,
like I want to see those other villains and I want them to get kind of in the comic book realm of things, but somebody did give me a little bit of hope. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, "Oh, you have to remember, Matt Reeves made us think apes could talk,
Yeah,
in Planet of the Apes." And so, like, if he can do that, he could do some of the same shit in Batman if he wanted to,
yeah.
you know? So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, but I feel like is that really I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure if this does gangbusters, Matt Reeves will be able to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh, yeah.
But I just don't I don't know, man. I feel like people are too scared when it comes to Batman. Like
Mhm.
if he gives us the fucking blue cow and shit at the end and like he shows other crazy like villains, I'll be like, okay, but already knowing that, there's a 99% chance the Joker is being teased in this movie, I'm like, here we go again.
Mhm.
Same fucking formula. He's going to be in the next movie, huge part of it. There's going to be a secondary character that's like Two-Face or Scarecrow. And then the third movie is going to be somebody different. I'm just like, all right, cool. Hit me up in 10 years when this repeats for the third time. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but I don't know. I just want fucking, I think that's why I'm more excited for Batgirl, right? And I'm like, okay, I think they're gonna get a little bit campy over there because she's already gonna be friends with somebody who has fucking, sonic scream abilities. That's not something you're gonna see in Matt Reeves' Batman, I don't think. So I'm just very curious. And then we're having a guy from the future, which is Michael Keaton, fucking showing up
Yeah.
and talking about being Batman and stuff. And I'm just very like excited to see where they're gonna go with that. Just please do not do the fucking CW thing where you're using every Batman villain to recycle these movies. They're like, oh, he's not going to be used in the Batman movie, so we're going to put him in the Batgirl movie. I'm like, bro, they have their own. If Nightwing makes a movie and we don't get Blockbuster and we get somebody else, I'm going to be pissed.
If I don't see Blockbuster in live action after I see Nightwing, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Yeah,
Like, Blockbuster has been a pinnacle point in Nightwing's story in Bloodhaven, like, since the 90s, since even
yeah,
earlier than that. And I love their dynamic,
yeah,
it's almost like a Spider-Man Kingpin or a
hmm,
Daredevil Kingpin type story.
yeah,
And I just think, like, yes, it could be very grounded, but it could still be comic booky because he's a monster of a man. He's huge.
yeah.
And I want to see. I would definitely want to see him.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanna see all that too. I want to see Batman versus Bane that actually uses Venom and stuff, but not like Tom Hardy Bane. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we'll see. Maybe I'm just gonna have to be more hopeful with the DCEU and just have this realistic Batman over here with my Joker too that's gonna happen and possibly fucking Scarecrow realistic version, all this kind of bullshit that's gonna happen over here in this DC Black Label that's not titled DC Black Label. At least give me some fucking Batman banging somebody in that shit if you're gonna do that. Fuck, like, goddamn. But moving on to, I guess we'll do our Peacekeeper review last, before we jump into questions and comics. But we do have some comic book news, which is
Yes.
pretty interesting. I've had my friends that are interested in comics but don't read everything or don't watch everything text me yesterday, hey, what do you know about Batman and Superman dying? And I instantly thought, oh, he's probably thinking about the movies that they're going to be replaced with Batgirl and Supergirl, that rumor. But then they sent me the article of the death of the Justice League. I have not been reading Justice League. I have no idea what's going on with anything really outside of Tom King and Batman related comic books. So, because I've thought the universe has sucked since Death Metal. So,
Mhm.
what is going on in DC Comics?
So right now, what's been going on is Joshua Williamson is writing this thing called Justice League Incarnate, and it is a multiversal story that is basically involving um, shoot, I forgot his actual name, but the Black Superman
Mm,
from Earth 3. We have
Calvin
Thomas.
Ellis? Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
Calvin. Yeah.
yeah.
President Superman, basically.
Mhm.
Um, we
Which is
have
different from Val Zod.
yes,
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Then we have Thomas Wayne Batman. We have a uh, Doctor Multiverse, who is a newer character, along with Captain Carrot and all of these other characters from different parts of the multiverse.
Hmm.
And they are
Sounds like
basically
Convergence.
it basically is.
Hmm.
They are actually in a race to find the Flash, Barry Allen, because Darkseid has kidnapped him and is basically using his Speed Force to basically manipulate the multiverse and
Is that
to
why Wally's the Flash?
yes,
I was so confused with Nightwing today. We'll talk about that later.
yeah.
But okay.
So that's all going on. And it ends in issue 6, but it ends to basically create a new another miniseries.
Mm.
And within that miniseries comes Justice League 75. Now, I will be honest, outside of my stuff that I read is just Batman News Weekly stuff. And
Yeah.
what I read is probably 2 or 3 other books. I
Hmm.
am not reading as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Now, everyone, because of the infinite frontier and the way continuity matters or continuity doesn't matter, however you look at it, everybody's kind of doing their own stuff, but loosely connecting via like, hey, we're going to mention this, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um, so it sounds like Joshua Williamson is basically the conductor of whatever's going to be happening in the future of the DC universe.
Hmm.
So really, Justice League Incarnate is what you should be reading, and anything Joshua Williamson is writing is basically, hey, maybe you should pay attention to this.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Justice League characters of right now, which are there is a picture with everybody um, in their caskets, including Aquaman, Batman, Wonder Woman, John Stewart, Green Lantern, and Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
So the main 5, the core 5 characters, you just see their caskets. And there's an article here that says, um, do we believe that the Trinity will die in the DC universe? This article says yes and well, no. And they're like, clearly we see their caskets, so that means they have to die. Well, you
Yeah.
need to be reading between the lines. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. The edges of the multiverse, blah, 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 blah. And I do think that they're going to play a little bit with the shenanigans that happened at the end of Death Metal and the beginning of Infinite Frontier, where Wonder Woman wasn't necessarily dead. She
Hmm.
went on to like basically a different like plane
Mm.
and was kind of just like waiting and kind of finding her way back
Yeah.
to among the rest of the DC universe. So I think they're going to be doing that kind of stuff, but mainly the idea of the 5G that was happening like right before 2020 and going alongside 2020 is what people are assuming is going to happen.
Hmm.
Williamson did write the future state Justice League story
Yeah.
during that time at the beginning of last year. Um, and so I do think we're going to get like, are the Trinity going to die? No, because technically we still have uh, Wonder Girl, we still
Hmm.
have John, Superboy, Superman, and we have Jackson Hyde, Aquaman. We have Damian, along with all the other Batmen. We have Jace,
Yeah.
that's out there. We have plenty of Green Lanterns to spare. I
Hmm.
think that for right now, they're just moving those characters aside, giving these people the limelight, and then probably next year or the year after that, they will bring back the other characters. Or if it
Hmm.
starts to really hurt the sales, they'll bring them back even sooner.
Yeah. I don't know why they ever think that's gonna work. Like, you know?
But think of it this way: technically, Grant Morrison did it with Batman in Final Crisis, and Bruce Wayne still had his miniseries. So I still
Yeah.
think they're going to have something with those characters but it's just in their eyes not going to be as important as they're pushing with all the other characters that they're doing right now.
It's funny you say that, as Wonder Girl just got her
Just got
series canceled.
canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back Joelle Jones on Catwoman with just not her writing. Like, or have her do some Batman too.
And it's
Like,
so funny that Wonder Girl got canceled because they're doing a Amazon's book. They're
yeah.
doing like a group team up with Wonder Girl, with Donna Troy, with Cassandra, with freaking Artemis and Wonder
Mhm.
Woman.
Hmm.
So it's like you're still gonna get freaking Yora Flora, but like you're not going to get her in a solo title, which a lot of people like that book, but there just
Yeah.
wasn't enough people buying it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But this is one of those things where, 6-issue miniseries need to be the thing going forward. And you
Mm-hmm.
just sell them as a graphic novel. That's it. If you want
Mm-hmm.
it, you have to buy it, and that's it. And then, the cool thing is you could just drop like, all right, we're only going to make 5,000 copies or 10,000 copies, whatever you think the average of the sale is going to be. And that way, if they sell out, and they're like, well, that was it. Like, you can go to a second print and do a different cover or something like that if you want to. Or you just leave them as collector items for a while and be like, oh yeah, we only made 5,000. That's all we're going to print. And they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And then you can be like, all right, well, we'll do another one a year later, different cover, all this kind of bullshit. And then people are like, oh, I want that more. And then you sell double the amount. That way they can sit on shelves and shit. So I think that's how you should be doing it. And then obviously make the stories good. Interesting. This was probably the most interesting thing you sent me this past week, was that Jeff Johns, which he's been gone for a really long time, hiding in his hole somewhere. I'm not too sure where he's at, but he's obviously still putting in some work because he's bringing back or continuing Flashpoint Batman's storyline.
This is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is very interesting is the exact reason why I texted you. I was like, holy shit, Jeff Johns is back writing. And I was like, oh wait, he has 2 other co-writers with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I made the joke with everybody else talking about this news, is if it's just Jeff Johns, we're gonna get this story concluded in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, shit, look what happened to Doomsday Clock,
Mm-hmm.
But he put 2 other writers on this as well. I believe Williamson being one, and
Really?
then yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check.
Yeah.
But Williamson and then somebody else was attached to it as well.
I think it was like Scott something. Or
Okay.
Could be wrong.
But I do think Johns is there to sell the issue 0. Issue 0 is coming first. People will jump on that like hotcakes because either they're going to hate read it or they're going to just be fans of Jeff Johns and buy it. There are plenty of people that still do that.
Hate reading is so funny, man. Why waste your time just so you could talk shit?
Or money, like
yeah.
It's so dumb. And the people that like think, oh, I'm gonna be complaining about this book, you're still bringing buzz to the book, which gets people curious to get people to buy the book.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want people to buy the book, you don't want people to talk about the book, don't talk about the book and don't buy the book. That's what you do. Like,
yeah. It's funny because I know in those people's minds, they want to read it to get information to back up their argument with facts and be like, no, in his book, he said this and blah, blah, which is fucking stupid because 5 years ago on January, they're those type of people. And I'm like, you still bought the book and you still fucking read it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fucking dumb. Anyways, yeah, he has 2 writers. I'm looking for it too. I can't find it.
Let me see, Jeff.
I don't.
It annoys me how he freaking spells his name. GEO.
My favorite band, which is Thursday, because somebody was asking that. It's a band called Thursday. Their lead singer spells Jeff the same way.
Oh, really?
So that's how I've always known of the name like that. But the reason why I hate it is because people use that as Jeff. That's a soft G, right? Jeff. No? Soft. Wait. Because people use it for GIF. They're like, well, GIF and Jeff. I'm like, no, fuck yourself. It's GIF, hard G.
So
I don't see where it's at.
It's gonna be uh Jeremy Adams is
Don't know who that is.
the writer uh that I'm mistaken for Williamson.
Hmm.
So it's uh Jeremy Adams, Jeff Johns, and Tim Sheridan, who is
Oh,
currently writing Shazam.
uh,
Yeah.
I could have sworn it said Scott. Is that an artist?
Um,
Could be wrong.
looking at the artists attached. Let's see
Or did
here.
I see that for Justice League? Could be wrong. I don't. I could have sworn I saw Scott something on one of these, but
I do not see a Scott. Let me.
maybe
Nope,
I'm
no
just
Scott
wrong.
here.
Yeah, I don't know where I saw that from, but it is what it is. Yeah. So this is gonna be issue 0 is gonna be great. After that, we don't know. But is this gonna be like a Tynan situation where we thought he was writing vampires, but he just put out the whole storyline, and you have somebody else writing the dialogue? Maybe.
I feel like it might be um in that kind of realm.
Yeah.
So it looks here, kicking off the event in the 48-page Flashpoint Beyond issue number 0 features artwork by Eduardo Rizzo, who was on 100 Bullets.
Oh yeah. I like that art. It
So
usually fits with that type of storyline though, so that'll be curious.
yeah,
So yeah, that's something to look forward to. It's apparently him going to try to find out like still what happened to his timeline. Have they explained like how he got out of Arkham or what was the case? Because Batman put him away
yeah,
and
no,
Bane fucked him up. So
they have not explained any of that.
no, lame. And it was Williamson that brought him back, wasn't it? In his
Ye-
story for Justice League or
yes,
whatever the hell it was.
yeah. For the Infinite Frontier
Yeah.
prequel, basically.
Yeah, I can't stand when we don't have that kind of information.
Yeah.
Which 2 times today I instantly questioned it and got my answer. It happened in Peacekeeper and it happened in Nightwing. I was like, they better explain this, and they explained it. I was like, all right, good writing, good writing. Last last comic book news is apparently the Flash movie is getting a 3-issue prequel. Did you see this?
No, I did not.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I accidentally closed out my browser and lost the link. But apparently, the Flash movie is going to be getting a 3-issue prelude
Boom.
comic.
As soon as I Google it, it's the first thing. The Flash
Yeah.
prequel comic announced at DC. This comes from Collider. It says here, 2022 is shaping up to be a big year for superhero fans. Um, uh, Prequel announced The Flash, the fastest man alive, that will tie into the film. The publisher also revealed the art for the first issue's cover. It will be a 3-issue monthly series, the first being a 48-page issue releasing in both digital and in print April 26, 2022. The series will be written by Kenny Porter and
Don't know who that
drawn
is.
by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. Now, Kenny Porter does sound familiar. I want to say they do a lot of Flash stuff, but let me look at it real quick here.
Yeah, I saw the
Um,
name, but I was just like, huh?
let's see here,
Who?
DC Comics, and they have done over at DC. The really cool thing is if you write in a author and then
Mm-hmm.
write DC Comics, it takes you right to their like talent directory on the
Mm.
DC page. Um, they have a very DC Halloween. Uh, let's see here. DC, The Doomed and the Damned, #1. Are You Afraid of the Dark Side? New Year's Evil. So
So it's a lot of the holiday books.
it's a lot of the holiday books, but
What story did he do in the holiday books?
I holy shit, he did the uh the Batman Beyond in Urban Legends.
No
He did
way.
the Batman Beyond in Urban Legends.
Holy shit. Okay.
So
Okay,
I
Kenny.
am looking at everything
Okay.
else. The stories that he did, are all Gotham related. That is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise
Um,
me. But hey, man, all I need to know is Batman Beyond. All right, I'm cool. That's fine. That's
yeah.
all I need.
And there
So
has been news on that. It looks like the 6 issue miniseries is coming along great. They've already shown like the 6 covers, I
yeah,
think, of that series, or at least like the first 3 or whatever is supposed to be coming out this year,
yeah.
starting in April.
Does Tom King's book have a release date? The Batman one, the
Uh,
miniseries?
I am pretty sure it does.
Because I know like they had dropped art for it, but I didn't know if it was going to come out anytime soon. Because he's still, what does he got right now? He has
Do you
Supergirl,
remember
Human
the title
Target.
of that Batman series?
Fuck, it doesn't tie into anything else. It did it have to do with detective bullshit? No, I would just put Tom
Wait,
King
right
new
here,
Batman
right
series.
here. Batman writer Tom King returns for badass heist action epic and Killing
Oh yeah,
Time
there you go.
is the Batman book. It is releasing starting in March of 2022. So we got 2 months, the
Oh, okay.
same month as the Batman. So very convenient with the characters that are involved in that book as well.
Ah, nice, nice. Interesting, interesting. All right, well that is all. Well, we got a Peacekeeper review. Um, let's knock out this question real quick because before we dive into Peacekeeper, the question comes from Red Hood. Says, so my question is, you might have said this before, I don't know. With Joshua Williamson's run, what villains do you hope he uses or think he could make a good story with?
I think that sorry for Flynn people, he sounds a little upset. I think that this Abyss character is going to take a good amount of story. I think
Yeah,
it would take at least 2 trades, which I'm hoping that Williamson, you better keep us engaged if you're going to do it for 2 trades.
yeah,
That's 12 issues, and it's monthly. Whew, so that's
that's
a
a year.
whole year.
Yeah,
Um, I would say some of these characters that we haven't seen in a while, guys. Like I don't want Joker. I don't
mm-mm.
want Penguin. I don't want Riddler. Like, yes, they're hot because of the movie that is about to come out in 2 months, but I want to see a Firefly story. I want
Yeah,
like the coolest freaking moth freaking
mm-hmm.
story that we got was in Legends of the Dark Knight, a digital book, and it was like one of the greatest stories we read last year. And
Yeah.
I can't believe that was not on any of our list. We
See,
totally forgot about it.
I like need pictures when I go through these things, like, because I
I
forget.
Yeah, I need to figure out a better way to like show us like because I started doing the Excel spreadsheet
Yeah,
already for us, but I think I also need to go in and look for the covers and preview pages, so
yeah,
that way we can look it up and be like, okay, let's just remind me real quick what this is, and then
yeah.
boom, yeah,
Or you know what? I'll text you what we
yeah,
can do
we'll
because I
figure
don't
it
want
out.
to.
We'll
Yeah,
figure it
yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah. But do you have just so? Do you have anybody in particular?
Um, I I think because we didn't really get a great story with them, and I kind of want to see what a Williamson can do after seeing what he's done with only 2 issues of the Batman.
Yeah.
I want Mr. Freeze
Okay. Okay.
because the last story with Mr. Freeze that we read was with Chip Zdarsky, and after today you'll know our opinions on how Chip Zdarsky is writing
Yeah.
Batman. But
Yeah.
I think I want Mr. Freeze.
Okay. I want Dollmaker. I'm obsessed with that character, man. Like he should. I think he could
You
be a
just want the
good
sexy nurse.
character. Yes, that too. But I think that character has legs that he
Mhm.
obviously cut off somebody else. But like I think it could go somewhere. I think you can do some cool shit with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, man. It's just because he's got such a good design. He's like fucking Hellraiser in the Batman universe. He's wearing
Yeah.
people's faces.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would love to see something with Dollmaker. I will always go to Clayface. Clayface is one of my favorite villains. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if you want to make him an anti-hero or you want to make him a villain. Although I would love him to be a villain because I don't think he's ever got like a hardcore story. Because he can manipulate into anybody. So he could do some fucked up shit. He could be the president if he wanted to. Like, you know?
I will say the Batman, the cartoon, not the movie that's coming out in 2 months. The cartoon, The Batman, Clayface was a really big part of that. And they had
I'm watching Batman Dracula right now as a request from one of our viewers.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
halfway through it.
I actually like that.
I never watched The Batman because I'm not a fan of the art style. Yeah, the Joker. Yeah, but I mean, it's okay so far. You know?
Yeah, I really dug that one. I think the scariest part of that. Have you already seen?
So Vicky Vale just got captured.
Okay,
that's where I'm at. So he just saved Joker. Sorry, spoilers. But it's been out forever.
But it's been out for more than 10 years. But so you've seen what happened to Joker?
Yes. They already fought in the blood bank and shit.
Yeah, it was super creepy, dude. Like him like crawling all over the freaking like ceiling and shit. I was like, oh shit, this is actually kind of like intense. Like I love that, dude.
That's cool.
But yeah, that whole series had Clayface as like a main plot point. And it like for me, it was the first time that I actually like cared about Clayface, you know,
I loved him in the animated series,
in a series or in a comic or whatever.
Yeah.
So to see him do that, I was like, oh, I have a whole new idea who Clayface could be when it comes to storytelling. So I dig that.
That's why I loved him in the animated series, because he was an actor just trying to reclaim his life. And like, you think about people that have been burned or fucking disfigured in their life, like they just want to look normal, but they have remembrance of the scars, you know what I mean? Clayface's face is literally melting off of him and he doesn't even remember who he is anymore. And I was just like, God damn, that's such a fucking deep story in a fucking cartoon, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the animated series so much. And I don't know. So I'd always go Clayface, but Dollmaker as well. Those are my picks. So
nice.
We'll see. But I mean, to be honest, Joshua Williamson can keep doing what he's doing. If it keeps having that type of feel after I finish reading it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'll do that. But let's move on to Peacemaker review, because
episode 4.
Yes. Batman was mentioned in this episode. So very interesting. We'll just jump to that right away. So midway through the episode, there is this moment where Peacekeeper goes back to his dad's house. We'll cover all this in a little bit, but I just want to get the Batman part out of the way. And we saw, if you guys have watched the first 3 episodes of Peacekeeper, by the way, this is going to have spoilers just in case. That's what we do here. There's a creepy old man who, every time I see him, I keep thinking it's Feeney from Boy Meets World, but it's not. It's not. I'm like, oh shit, like he does look like Feeney, right? I always think he's like, Feeney. Like, I always think it's him, but it's not.
Oh my god.
Because I looked. Great. And, fucking Feeney, because we don't know this guy's name, Feeney's all like, hey, you're not a superhero or whatever. He's like, you're kind of acting like a villain. And he's like, I'm not a villain. I'm a hero. And he's like, well, who are your supervillains? Batman has supervillains. Like, who are yours? And he's like, you want to know why I don't have fucking supervillains? Because they're 6 feet fucking under. And he's like, well, Batman wouldn't kill. And then Peacekeeper goes off on this Batman rant, talking about why he fucking sucks.
He's like, do you know why? He's like, do you know why I don't have any supervillains? Because all my villains are 6 feet under. He's like, well, you wouldn't kill. Yeah, and that's the fucking problem. He takes somebody who is put up in makeup, wears a fucking nose clown, blah, 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 and puts them in jail just so they can get out and kill more people. That doesn't happen with me.
Yeah.
It's the classic discussion over Batman.
Yes.
And I love that they actually put this in here.
Yes.
Because you know for a fact that's going to be a talking point about this episode.
Oh, 100%. 100%, because it gives the people that think Batman is stupid for not killing validation.
Yeah.
which they don't realize they're getting validation from a fucking supervillain. And they're like, yeah, see, he knows what's up. And I'm like, do you really? His dad's racist, right? Like, you really want to compare yourself with Peacemaker here? So I thought that was fucking classic. And then fucking Feeney is just there, like, well, damn, I was just trying to make some conversation. And I was just like, fuck, this old man's dope. And he was like, and then he mentions his dad's in jail, which we'll get to that. But anyways, starting this whole thing off, the episode starts off with them kind of recapping what happened in the last episode. For those of you who haven't seen it, Peacekeeper finally saw what the hell Project Butterfly is. It's these little butterfly things that go into people's brains and take over. And the last thing we saw in that last episode was it flying up into the sky or flying up into the top of the cave.
Yes.
And we just hear, they're like, what happened to the butterfly? He's like, well, I fucking shot it. Like, and they're like, well, that would have been cool to capture it, so we could have studied it or done something. He's like, oh, well, fuck it, And they're all driving back in their van, and Vigilante's all like, I'm never going to walk again. Like, my pinky toe is like, it's cut off. I'm going to walk funny forever. Like, I'm not going to be able to stand up. They're like, that's not real.
That's not how it works, man.
And he's just going off. They're like, no. And if I'm not mistaken, I think your big toe is more important. Like, in reality,
in reality, it's your big toe that does help with your equilibrium, with your balance. But he is so like fixated on this freaking pinky toe. He's just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It hurts when I walk. Like, I'll never be able to walk the same again. Like, he keeps emphasizing on this fucking toe, and it gets to a point where they're all back in their like secret hub, but it's like a abandoned for sale movie store or whatever. But he talks to. I can never remember this guy's name. Murrow or Mir or Mur. I think it's Mur.
Captain guy?
Yeah, the guy that's basically in charge.
Yeah, I forget his fucking name too.
But he talks to Peacemaker, and he's like, what the fuck was up with you yesterday? You choked. Like,
yeah.
He's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? He's like, I made an oath to kill whoever I needed to in order to keep the peace. Every man, woman, and child. But I'm not just gonna fucking kill children. And he fucking brings up the fucking bat, the bird of peace on his fucking handle. He's like, that's not the whhole fucking reason. Like, tell me the real reason. That's when he talks about the children. He's like, I'm not gonna kill children just because you tell me so. Yeah. Like, I need to know why I'm killing children. And he's like, well, now you fucking know. They were all butterflies. And he's still trying to figure out what the fuck that is, quote unquote, trying to figure out what the fuck they are. And I will say this, I did more research on it. The butterflies are in reference to a DC character called the Insect Queen.
Okay.
So she, this reiteration of the butterflies and the insects or whatever is actually from an old Superman comic from the 80s and 90s. So again, another deep pull from Gunn himself. And I don't know how much I liked it this time. One thing that we didn't mention last time we did a review, Batmite is canon in the DCEU. And so they brought another canon character in here when they were discussing. It's like Meat Eater Man or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I am pretty sure he's an actual character.
Yeah, no, he is. I forgot. It's not Meat Eater Man. It's something weird. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. But I don't mind that because the DCEU is fucking weird, man. And that's why it pisses me off when we're just getting realistic Batman. I'm like, bro,
Meat Eater Lad is the name.
Yeah, like Gunn does not have a problem leaning into that shit. And that's why I wouldn't mind him taking on a Bat property. But like, I just hope he wouldn't fuck it up. You know what I mean? Because like, and he does seem like he knows that characters that need to be serious need to stay serious. But for the most part, all of his characters have been pretty, like, there's a lot of leeway.
I'm about to say something really scary. Would you trust James Gunn with a Red Hood story?
Maybe.
You see how scary
Maybe.
that is?
Yeah, because I feel like he would lean in towards John Cena, but Red Hood has enough content that you know what he sounds like and you know how he acts.
Hmm.
So you can't go full blown John Cena with him, although he does kind of have that personality where he's kind of an asshole.
Hmm.
Um, but he would make it violent as hell, and that would be cool.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah. I'm leaning more yes than no. I'll say that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it would be very intriguing to see how that goes. But yeah, so we get another drop of a very obscure DC character, and then he's like, you know what? I got to get out of here, or we got to get out of here. You go get some rest. That's what he says. He's like, we gotta. We'll tell you about the butterflies tonight. Go get some rest. And this is when we get a great conversation between him and Vigilante in the car. And he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, I love that you really you thought of me. You thought I could do it about not giving away secrets, when the guy was cutting my toe off. He's like, oh, yeah, cool. And he's like, I'm glad you respect me enough to know that I wasn't gonna, really rat on you. You were really caring. He's like, yeah, I'm glad you're happy. And they just keep going back and forth. He's like, I feel like you're trying to, I feel like you're upset. He's like, I'm not upset. I mean, I think they're cool. He's like,
This
yeah.
is the kind of humor from Gunn that is like nearing the edge, but he takes it to the very edge and then he leans back. Like
Yeah.
he could go too far, and
Mhm.
it's almost the same kind of humor of freaking Family Guy,
Yeah.
American Dad, where it's like, oh, you remember this, and then they do this one random clip and they
Mhm.
go for like 5 whole minutes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, like you don't need this.
Yeah.
It's that kind of humor, but he takes it all the way to the edge and then it's over, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, you could have made this a little bit worse, but you didn't. Cool.
Yeah. Well, he also does a good thing. He does a thing that good comics do where he does something stupid in the story, right? But that conversation led to something serious later. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Chappelle does this where he says outlandish bullshit and then it turns into a story at the end of his
Mhm.
set or whatever. So it's like, oh shit, that was an actual story you were fucking telling. It's pretty crazy. So Gunn does that here because they start talking about their dads, like, your dad's racist. He's like, he's not racist. He just, he's whatever.
The
And he's all
fucking
like,
duck.
yeah. And then he's like, well, your dad left your mom for another man. And he's all like, yeah, well, they're in a loving relationship. He's like, you think that they just left because of you? And he's just like,
He's
well,
like, oh well,
maybe.
your dad is actually just pretending to be gay to
Yeah.
get away from you.
Yeah, like it's a childish argument. So Peacekeeper gets to his house, he breaks into his house, and this is when he goes down. This is that moment where I was like, they better explain this. Because
Mhm.
Peacekeeper is walking through this one-story house and opens this closet with this security thing, and he walks into this massive warehouse. And I'm
Now,
all
it
like,
was in the first few episodes.
did they explain it in the first? I know they went into it in the first, but I don't think they showed him going into it though.
They did show them both going into it. They
Oh,
both
did they?
talked because they talked about the helmets. They talked
Yeah.
about like,
No, I know that they were in there, but did they show him go beep 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 beep? Oh, door open and walk in.
and then like everything was shifting and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
They
see,
showed it,
I guess I don't remember
but
that part.
they didn't really talk about how it's happening.
Yeah,
Which is because I think storytelling wise, and I think it is kind of smart. Um, these two characters, that being Peacemaker and his dad, already know what this is, so
yeah,
they wouldn't have to be like, "Hey, what is this?" and
hmm,
explain to the audience. But you have Vigilante, who is new to this area, new
yeah,
to this whole concept, and he's like, "How the fuck is this place bigger on the inside?"
yeah,
Fucking Doctor Who style.
hmm,
And that's when Peacemaker explains it.
yeah,
It was very comic booky, and so when I first saw it in the very first episode, I immediately was like, "Oh, different dimension tech,
hmm,
probably, blah 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 blah." But you're right; it is good that they went out of their way to kind of explain this, so that
yeah.
way people who would criticize it aren't criticizing it. And I will say, there's actually an Easter egg in this scene.
What was it?
2 Easter eggs. One is the original Peacemaker helmet, the white one, is
Hmm.
actually in the scene. You
Is it
can
in the
see,
background, right? I
you
think I
can
noticed that.
you can see it's on the second shelf when he's like grabbing all of the
Hmm.
helmets. You see it right before he starts grabbing the helmets, and then you see it while he's grabbing the helmets.
Yeah.
And then it's not necessarily an Easter egg because it's a big part of the show. You see the white dragon costume.
Yeah.
This is comic book accurate.
I've never heard of the White Dragon ever.
The white dragon is a legit like KKK like DC Comics character.
Huh.
Yeah. And I didn't
Is he
think
actually Peacekeeper's father?
I don't believe he is. I had only read about the white dragon maybe once or twice in my history of reading comics. I only knew him from basically appearance. And when I saw that on screen, I was like, holy shit. Because I heard the name in the past episode when you see everybody freaking like hailing Hitler at him in the prison, you're like, oh shit, what is this? But when they mentioned the white dragon, I was like, there's no fucking way that they'll, go that deep into this. And again, it's my fault for assuming because it's fucking James Gunn.
Yeah.
But they legit did everything as far as comic book accuracy with this character. And it's pretty insane.
Yeah, he's top notch when it comes to outfits, man. But yeah, so it's funny. Peacekeeper took all his helmets, even the scabies one. I don't know why he would want to get scabies, but his dad did say everybody should have it every once in a while. So he takes all the helmets, gets a bunch of shit, and then he leaves with Vigilante, and this is when we get the conversation with Feeney, and he finds out his dad's in prison. He's like, I gotta go visit my dad. And that's when they have the real conversation between him and Vigilante, and he's all like, hey, I'm sorry that I let the guy torture you or whatever. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry about your dad and all this stuff. He's like, you want me to take you to go see your dad? And he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. So they're like bonding, right? They're becoming better friends. And this is when we find out what's going on. And the director guy's like, fuck. He's like, we cannot let him go see his dad and all this shit and blah, blah, blah. And so he sends, what is her name? Adebayo? Is that her name?
Yeah.
I forget her name.
Yeah, Adebayo.
So he's like, go do your shit and make him not go to see his dad. And she gets there right before they walk in. He's like, fuck you. I don't want to talk to you. And she starts telling me, he's like, your dad's not a good guy. Like, we read your file. We know what's happening. Like, nobody that is good would do what he did to you. And Peacekeeper at this point doesn't remember or want to think about what his dad did to him. Because we find out later on, he asks, what's in my file? So that means he doesn't remember something. So this is intriguing. It makes me want to know what happened. And so they have a conversation going back and forth. And Vigilante's not in his costume at this point. And, he walks in there and he's like, oh, this fucking sucks. And Vigilante's like, yeah, he's going to do what he does. And he's like, you're Vigilante, right? And she's like, what? No. Oh. And he's like, I can tell from your voice. And he's like, no, I'm not Vigilante. Yeah. And he's like, how do you even know Vigilante's a man? It could be a woman. But I'm assuming because it sounds like my voice, you're saying that he's a man. And he's just going off and he tries to walk away. And she's like, why are you limping? He's like, I'm not limping. And
he's like, in no association to anything ever regarding Vigilante. That's why I'm limping,
It's just so stupid. I love his character, dude. He's so dumb that I love him.
So we didn't mention this. James Gunn talked about the fact that Vigilante actually, did we talk about this? I can't remember.
5 day or recording over or whatever. Yeah, I think we talked about it. Yeah, okay, pretty sure.
I found out who it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the person, let me actually find it again. It was actually
Nathan Fillion.
He was replaced by Chris Conrad. If you don't know who Chris Conrad is, one of his worst movies is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Back in 19, he played Johnny Cage.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Johnny Cage turned this down.
So I guess he didn't, like James Gunn said, did not like where the character was going by episode 5. So I want to pay attention with the next episode to see what the hell is going on.
Interesting.
So I like this dude,
Yeah, this guy's awesome.
especially after uh Adebayo's conversation with him.
Hmm.
She is like, for one, she has this conversation with Chris, aka Peacemaker, and
Yeah.
is like, "Hey, your dad is fucked up and possibly one of the worst people in the world."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Hey, he thinks I do not deserve to live." Like, and Peacemaker's like, "Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I understand, but he's my dad. I
Yeah.
gotta love him. Blah blah blah." And she ends up having a conversation with Vigilante, insinuating, "Hey, if only something were to happen to Peacemaker's dad to
Yeah.
make him go away." And of
Yeah.
course, because Vigilante is Peacemaker's best friend, he's like, "I
Hmm.
gotta do anything to help my best friend." So he gets himself arrested, thrown
Yeah.
in jail, and confronts these guys, and not just Peacemaker's dad, but his little like gang that is surrounding him in the table.
Yeah.
Dude, the balls on fucking Vigilante. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
That
He's
was
like,
awesome.
let's all go around the table and talk about the great influences of Black American culture in America.
And he was all like, "Let's talk about rock and roll." And then he goes off and he's like, "Yeah, if they didn't do stuff in rock and roll, we'd have the trashy I fucked your sister type of rock and roll that we had before." And like, yeah, he goes off, dude. And then he
he
starts beating
he
everybody's
beatens
ass.
the shit out of everybody, and then freaking Peacemaker's dad is like, "Hey, I'm not stupid enough to do this. We look like the aggressors here, so I'm not saying shit." And then
Yeah.
Vigilante opens his big fucking mouth. He's like,
Hmm.
"You're a bad dad." And that's when he's like, "I gotta talk to the
Yeah.
detective. I got something to say about this guy." Blah blah blah. But that's when they find out what Abadayo did,
Hmm.
as far as like telling Vigilante to do that, and they're like, "We got to get him out of there. He's probably
Yeah.
fucking some shit up. We got to get him out of there so that way he doesn't open his mouth." But during this time, we found out that the judo master had broken
Hmm.
free, and we
Yeah.
get a little, round two, as John Cena said, between him and judo master. Dude, I fucking love the fact that almost every single time like came into the scene, he's always eating chips. Like
Yeah.
when he was hiding, he just came out of the fucking
Yeah.
closet with chips and just knocked the shit out of John. And what does he say? He says something to Peacemaker. He's like, "You have a weirdly bottle-esque body." He's like, "Really? Personal insults? Man."
Yeah.
And he fucking just like knocks the shit out of him. And then he fucking gets shot.
Yeah. That was awesome. And he was like, "What'd you do that for? I was about to win. This is my comeback story. Like, what the hell?"
Fuck.
Yeah. It was awesome. But he gets shot right before he's about to say, "You don't know what's going on with the butterflies."
Butterflies. Yeah.
And so, are we getting a bait and switch here? Because I'm not gonna lie, I thought he got taken over by a butterfly.
Who, the judo master?
Yeah.
I would have assumed that he did.
Yeah.
Just the fact that that entire like family had,
Mhm.
and we didn't really see anything from the bodyguard in that last
Yeah.
episode, other than getting shot in the head. Um, so maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but like now he's in danger of like dying because he
Yeah.
got shot like square in the chest. Um, but the big reveal is when everything is kind of fucking settling down, we see that Peacemaker had a fucking butterfly.
Yeah.
He took the butterfly from the fucking cave and eagerly almost fucking ate it.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. He's like, "No, don't do anything." And
Yeah.
then this is the big reveal of like Peacemaker is like dancing, he's smoking weed, he's
Getting
reminiscing
drunk.
on some of the shit that was said in this episode, having flashbacks.
Yeah.
Apparently he killed a man when he was younger, and he was having flashbacks of his older brother. We didn't see exactly what happens, but he starts to convulse and he starts to foam at the mouth.
Yeah.
um, and that's when Peacemaker kind of falls in his high state or whatever, and is crying. So
Mhm.
like this
He
is getting
remembers
into
killing Rick Flag. He remembers that
yeah.
too.
Oh, dude, that I think was such a great moment. Like,
Yeah,
because I even said it out loud. He's just like Peacemaker. What a
yeah.
joke! And then he fucking flops
And
over, and that's when Peacemaker
this
fall.
this is what I love about one, either long term storytelling, like if Gunn thought about having a series after Suicide Squad, or just creative writing to write Peacekeeper having these like bad issues of killing Rick Flag. Like that's a good way to connect the stories, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of hoping we get the same type of thing when this Batman show comes out, although it's going to be a prequel. So you're going to have to show stuff prior to the movie, which will be interesting, which will be kind of weird if they don't show Batman at any point. So yeah, I got to say I love the writing and the integrating the movie with the show, because it shows like it's one long thing, it feels like.
Yeah.
So, which is something that Marvel doesn't do a lot of. Like they play at it, especially in the early years. They would just be like, "Oh yeah, that thing that happened in New York." And "Oh yeah, this big green guy." And like they would do that, but they would never
Mhm.
show it.
Yeah.
And so I love that WB is fucking doing this kind of shit, because I'm like, all right, it's directly connected because they're using scenes from that fucking movie. So I thought that
Mhm.
was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, going on, we get like, these flashbacks. We don't know if he actually killed his brother. It's assumed that he killed his brother.
Mhm.
And then we also see that there's like, he did have this before. I think it's before he gets high, right? He went and asked the chick, what's her name? The blonde.
Harcourt.
Yeah, hardcore. About like, yo, what's in my file? And he's like, she's at the bar again. She's like, can I
Dude,
just fuck?
she looks like one of the most depressed characters in this fucking show.
Oh yeah. Oh
There's
yeah.
something going on with her.
For sure. And here's the thing. I instantly thought about this because it seems like her and Peacekeeper are gonna hook up at the end by the end of the series, right? Like they're kind of hinting sexual tension or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
Very interesting because this is James Gunn's girl.
Mhm.
And I always think about the story about John Cena when he was on that thing with what's her name? What's her name? Amy Adams, not Amy Adams, Amy Schumer,
Yeah, yeah.
where apparently like they had a sex scene, but they just had sex because he was just like, this is what I have to do. So I'm like, would you feel comfortable with that, James Gunn? Like, you really want to put him in that situation? Like, it's John
Hey, he
Cena.
now has more experience in film, so
I
maybe he's
hope
learned a
so.
thing or two.
I hope so. Because unless James Gunn's into something we don't know about, but damn, I'm just like, bro. But it seems like where that's going. And I like that he came in there, he was like, your tits look great in that shirt. He was like, that's a
Not
compliment.
in
It's not
it's a
misogynistic.
compliment, not in the
Yeah.
sexist way.
I thought that was great. But yeah, and then it goes into that montage, and at the very end of the episode, we find out that the fucking captain of the whole team is a fucking butterfly.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing: I'd have to go back and rewatch the third episode. But the reason why is we know that one of the butterflies got out because even if you shoot a butterfly straight in the face, it looks like they can climb out of a body. So that means there's a possibility of 4 butterflies out in the fucking world right now, or in that area, right? So I don't know why I thought a butterfly went into Judo Master, or at least it was insinuated that one of them went into him. And then obviously we know that Peacekeeper had caught one. So but I did think that they did have the captain dude look really weird at the end of episode 3. Like he had just got up from an explosion, but he looked weird. And that's why I was like, something's up with that guy. And so we find out at the end of this that he is a butterfly. He was eating that weird soupy stuff. So very interesting. The end credit scene was just an extended conversation about the duck whole conversation, which I thought was funny. And yeah, I don't know, man. The series has been great so far. I think this is a solid fucking series, and I can't reiterate that much. I mean, I can't stop reiterating that I wasn't super into it, like trailer wise, and the series has made me want to keep watching it. So I think it's pretty good. Also, did you think that Vigilante was actually going to kill his father and cause like a big rift between the team? Because he would have later found out that Vigilante got sent in there to kill his father, causing problems for the team. Like I thought that was going to be the story.
I thought it was too, but the more I thought about it, either way, this is going to come out.
Yeah.
he's gonna find out that he was, because even I think Vigilante, like I think the team can manipulate Vigilante enough to be like, hey, you can't say this to Peacemaker because you're his best friend and you have his best interest at heart.
Yeah.
So you can't say this stuff. So I'm sure it'll be held for a while until there's a final confrontation, because I do think that as well. I do think there will be a final confrontation between Peacemaker and White Dragon. Like
Yeah.
I do think whether it actually be the actor in that White Dragon suit,
Yeah.
because he is old and he is a little bit bigger. I don't know if that suit would necessarily fit him.
Mhm.
Um, but I think there will be a confrontation, and he might just tell Peacemaker, like, "Hey, yeah, your friend over here tried to kill me in
Mhm.
prison," you know?
Yeah.
And Peacemaker would be like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah. I saw an article on CBR, that glorious website, that says this vigilante is worse than the Arrowverse one because he's trying to
No.
be like Deadpool. Yeah. I was like, go fuck yourself. I didn't even read it. I read the headline. I was go fuck yourself. I was all like, how do you think this is worse? Like, this is actually making me care about Vigilante. The Arrowverse one did not do that. Like, I actively like Vigilante in this series. And
Yeah.
there's not enough comic book stuff to be like, he has a definite personality. He has to be written this way, not like a Batman or a Red Hood or a Nightwing. Like, there's not enough. He's a fucking D-list character, maybe. And like, yeah, D-list characters, if you can put them on the map and make them interesting, a la like Peacemaker, fucking let them do whatever they want. Like, he's more interesting. He will
Yeah.
probably be in the next Suicide Squad if he doesn't die.
Yeah.
So, and that'll be interesting. So, or they're gonna be in a buddy cop. Like this series will just continue, and they'll be like buddy cop dudes. So,
Yeah.
I'm I would love to see if this is gonna get greenlit for us. James Gunn said this wasn't a one and done, right? He's like hoping this is gonna be a series.
I think so.
So that'll be kind of cool. But he's doing another series, which I'm like, the rest of his life feels like it's going to be DC for like the next 10 years. It feels like.
I mean, he still has the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
He has the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, but like that, I'm pretty sure that is it for Marvel for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he's employed, he's employed, I
Yeah.
think that's the idea that he has, and he's getting to do the shit that he's wanting to do.
Yeah.
So I'd
Yeah,
say fuck it and do it.
I think he loves it because DC allows him to be James Gunn.
Yeah.
Because we know James Gunn is fucked up in the head with a lot of his old movies, and they let him do whatever. Where Marvel's never gonna let you have a scene of a character fucking somebody. Like they're just not gonna let you do that, and like make all these innuendo type jokes and all this crazy stuff the way they're doing in Peacekeeper. It's just not gonna happen. And knowing that he can make this stuff come to life on a streaming service that has really no rules, that's pretty awesome. So. Yeah. I'm excited to see where we're going to go with this. And yeah, I don't know. Peacemaker is a hit for me. But that is it for entertainment stuff. We're moving on to comic books, which let's just start with the Detective or the Dark Knight or whatever the fuck Chip Zdarsky was trying
The
to
Knight.
make.
Yeah.
The Knight. This book sucked. Like, I
had somebody ask, because I had somebody ask me what I thought about this book, because I am doing a reading challenge for 2022. This is I think the 112th book that I have read since January 1st.
God damn.
Yeah. The 111th book, excuse me, that I have read since
Comics
January.
wise? Or
Yeah,
just
comics.
in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to basically clean out everything in my Comixology that I have not read that I own. So I was like, hey, let's do a challenge, whatever. If you want more information about it, I talk about it a lot in DC Alliance and all of my other shows. I'm actually doing a giveaway for people who want to participate in the challenge. So go check that out. And so I told them, I'm not entirely sure how I feel. This is the first issue. I didn't like it as much as some other number ones that we have gotten recently. Dark Knights of Steel, freaking technically Batman 118 was a number one for Williamson in some sort of way. Books like that.
Vampires.
I would honestly give this book a 7.5 You talk to me enough about it, I may even give it a 7. And the reason why is this is another origin
Yeah.
in a very weird way, even more grounded than any other Batman story could be,
Mm-hmm.
because this Bruce Wayne is not traveling the world to become the Batman.
Yeah.
He's traveling the world in books to become the Batman.
Yeah.
And I guess that can work, but it's weird.
I don't think it works. So I like the punishment Alfred made because we know that Batman is one of the smartest people on Earth. You know, according to Lex Luthor, if he's alive, he's the number one on the Earth. Although some people would say it's Mr. Terrific, but you know, sometimes he's not in this world; he's in the space. But I like the punishment because I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool because that means Batman would have to read so many books for this punishment that he would have knowledge on a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you were to take that 120 issues that you read already and you just put it in a pile, that's a pretty big pile if it was physical. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's probably a box, maybe more.
That's a short box for sure.
Yeah. So like that's pretty crazy. And we've seen the Wayne Manor library. It's massive. So if he's reading all of these books, that's pretty crazy. But here's the reason why I don't think this book works. And I'm not going to lie. I've wanted a book like this, but I also know that a book like this is very hard to do because a la the Joker, where you never show us Joker's origin, Batman's origin of becoming Batman is very touchy and you shouldn't fuck with it. And a lot of people, because he's showing that he's going to school and that he's thinking about going to college and doing all this shit. I don't give a shit about any of that. He doesn't need to go to college because he's a fucking billionaire. And you know what I mean?
It gets to that point technically.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment, I can't remember this girl's name.
Donna or Dobell or some shit like that.
Dana. 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 At one point in this book, in the flashback, she's like, well, hey, don't you need to go study for this test? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna go. And she's like, why not? And he's like, well, I can just pay them to pass me. I'm not coming in here to prove what I've learned. I'm just coming here to learn.
Yeah.
And I learn what I want to learn, not what they want to teach me.
Yeah.
And in a way, I'm like, oh, that's pretty badass. You're but at that point in my mind, why the fuck are you even enrolled?
Yeah. That's what I don't understand, right? Because anybody who's ever went to school or college knows you don't learn anything for a really long time. Like, it's just a bunch of boring ass lectures and it's not hands on. Batman seems like a very hands on person. So that's why when you see flashbacks, like in the animated series, when he's young and he's training with Zatanna's father for like magician shit, those types of stories are amazing.
Yeah.
Even Scott Snyder would do like little ones of him being younger and going to other places and stealing cars or stuff like that and learning from some of the best thieves in the world. That shit's interesting. So him going to school, going to Gotham Academy, I'm okay with like Dick Grayson doing that, like young Dick Grayson having to go to Gotham Academy because he was raised by Batman. He needed to be doing something during the day, right? Bruce Wayne didn't need to. You know what I mean? Like, granted, yes, he could have went to school, but since he is a billionaire, he could hire the best tutors in the world. You know what I mean? They could come to him.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen.
No. And then he's like, gets into like, he learns judo from a book and he goes and applies it. And he learns boxing from a book and he goes and applies this in like a death cage match kind of thing, like underground boxing. And I'm like, he could have hired the best boxer in the world. You could have got Wildcat to come teach him how to box. You could have gotten like one of the fucking, judo masters from like Japan or China or something. He could have went to go train with them, which is in the animated series. He fucking goes, and that's when he gets one of his like hardcore rivals, and there's the like a 2-part episode about it. Like, you know what I mean? that is what made everything badass about Batman. Because in my eyes, I think Batman, his parents are killed at 8 years old. That's what I think. The moment his parents die in that alley, he's no longer Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is the mask. He starts having these ideas of wanting to do something and being something better. Starts thinking about his fears, all of that kind of jazz. I do love what Scott Snyder did, where Bruce was very young still. It was shortly after his parents died. He started getting really into detective shit to try to piece together who killed his family.
Yeah.
And he thought it was the Court of Owls. And I was like, that is amazing. That is good stuff. Because again, an 8-year-old can't do too much, but a determined 8-year-old can do a lot. Like, if you've ever been around kids, like, they're fucking sly as fuck.
Yeah.
So, like, I like that kind of thing. But once you get to like 10, 12, like, I saw this one YouTuber recently. He was talking about how he's like teaching his son that's like 10 how to use like firearms and stuff. So if kids can use that kind of shit at 10, you can start doing training and all this other kind of shit, right? Like, you can put kids in karate and stuff like at 5. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So the whole book thing and him not doing that kind of training, like hands-on stuff, is just not believable to me. Because you could say Batman is somebody like Barbara Gordon, that has like a, what is it, an epidemic memory or something memory, where she remembers everything.
Yeah, eidetic memory.
Yeah. She remembers everything she reads. Bruce has never been shown to do that. He has been the type of person where he reads it again and again and again to where he puts it in his memory. And so, like, I don't know. I just didn't like this. I didn't think it was a good take. And I'm not interested in it. I don't care. Because I don't know. I think he could have done so much more.
I mean, I want to say, like, kudos for him for bringing out Hugo Strange, but it looks like by the end of this first issue, Hugo Strange is about to go to prison. So, like, you're already done with that character.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for the other? What is this? Is this a 12-issue series? If that's the case, like, are we just going to randomly bump into like the early versions of all of your villains?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much I would. It's a 10-issue series.
Yeah.
So, depending on if this is monthly or bi-weekly, we could either be done in 5 months or 10.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't like the early versions of him meeting Hugo Strange. Because, again, Leslie Tompkins has been a big part of his history. She should be the one talking to him. She should be the one going through this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't like the idea of adding Hugo Strange into this. It just feels like, it's a good way to bring in Hugo Strange. Let's do that. And so I wasn't a big fan of that. But yeah, man, this is the second outing for Chip Zdarsky writing Batman in the in the last year or so. And I think I'm ready to put him in the box of people that just don't know how to write Batman, which sucks because he did have that one like panel or one page of where all the lights went out in the streets and it was like the Dark Knight with the shadow and stuff. I was like, oh, fuck, that was dope. But the rest of that fucking story went downhill real fast.
Real quick.
So,
because Chip Zdarsky thinks that Batman's number one wish is to kill the Joker.
yeah. So I just don't think he understands Batman, which is a shame because his Daredevil was so good.
Yeah. And you only read the first volume.
Yeah. And I thought it was dope. So yeah, not a fan of this book. And it's 10 issues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give the next one a shot. If it doesn't pick up, if it doesn't win me back over, I don't give a fuck after that.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Chip, you got to step it up, my guy. Let's go on next to Catwoman. This was a long read. I liked it, but it was a long read.
I liked it as well, but you are right. It did feel a little bit longer than everything else. I like the colors. They popped. I don't know who this colorist is. I think I'll have to jump in there. Oh, Jordi Belair. That's why I liked it so much. But yeah, this was very, very interesting. I like that with a new writer, they're telling a new story. And because they're telling a new story, we need to know who's involved. In the very first few pages, they give you like a synopsis, and it's Catwoman telling you, like, oh, this person is this person is this. And it feels like a legit like intro to a movie or to an episode. Like, and almost like in a heist movie, how they're like explaining, hey, this is how we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
This person is in charge of this, so we need to take care of them doing this. And like it felt like that. And I think that's what I like the most. Um, there is one thing in particular that just gave me bad vibes that I was just like, I don't want any more of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gave me vibes of a different character that we did not like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. But overall, this is a great start to a new series.
Yeah.
She is back in Gotham with a legitimate reason why. It looks like she is like not necessarily the greatest hero, of course. She isn't like hero status here. It
Yeah.
does look like she is kind of going into her old ways, but we still have to see the context of it all, you know?
Yeah. Batman
Uh,
is gone. She
yeah.
plays a little bit when he's gone. So,
Yeah.
um,
So what'd you think?
okay. I'm excited for the story. Like, the writing wasn't atrocious. Like, I love Joel Jones, but that story was hot garbage. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Joel Jones. Like, it wasn't good. Your art is amazing. It is top tier. I think she draws the best Catwoman, in my opinion. Although some of the art in this was really good too for
Yeah, it
Catwoman.
was.
Not gonna lie. But I think just the way Joel Jones draws women is top tier. So like I love the story. It was a long read, but again, you're right. It was an introduction story. So I feel like they wanted to get a lot of this out of the way. But it was a lot of dialogue or a lot of like thought boxes for Catwoman, a lot of narration boxes. So I hope this isn't going to be the theme going forward because a long read, even if I do love the character, is kind of grueling. And I was all like, well, how many pages? I was like, God damn. I was like, this is taking forever. And so I got through that. I'm assuming the character you don't like is the new guy who is a thief that is Ghostmaker style.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I saw the character design and I was like, "Oh no. Don't
Yes.
do this, please."
Yes.
And for a hot second I did think it was a chick. I thought it
Mhm.
was a woman. But then with more context it did
Yeah.
we did find out that it was a guy. Um I don't know what everybody's fascination is with that like headpiece.
Mm. Daredevil.
So I
Yeah.
guess that's what it is. But there is apparently like a thieves guild, and I want to go ahead and throw some money in this pot here. If there is another form of long storytelling in this
Mhm.
series, this ends with Catwoman being the head of the thieves guild. I want to go ahead and say that now.
Yes. I have a scarier alternative for you.
Hmm.
So this book got me excited to see what's going to happen. I like the Thieves Guild. I like this new bosses because they mentioned these are the new bosses because Falcone and all them are gone. And
Mm-hmm.
one of them's a former Falcone. Like he hid away when all the bullets started flying, apparently. So I like that. I'm like, okay, so there's new crime bosses. That's cool. We don't really hear about those in Batman's story. So it's cool if you're going to put them in Catwoman's because
Mm-hmm.
now she has people she can steal from, right? She was apparently, I had to double read this because I got a little worried, but she was at one point maybe romantically involved with one of these people, which was the girl of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't call her back. So this girl it's a little personal for her. So there was that. The whole story, the whole where I think it's going is awesome. What I'm worried about is because we know this book started off with Catwoman in a strip club performing, she was performing or whatever, and she used this as the best disguise because she could change into her outfit while she was like doing the whole striptease thing and they wouldn't even notice. But as long as there's movement in the background, these people are like, okay, yeah, we're cool, whatever. So she changes into her Catwoman suit on stage, which I thought was a cool kind of thing. It gives off her vibes. The only thing I'm worried about this is if they are going to lean into the sexy Catwoman stuff, do not go to the point where she's gonna hook up with somebody. There needs to be a hard stop because there was points where she was talking to this thief guy and she was trying to fight him. She couldn't lay a hand on him. She's like, man, he's wearing like super expensive cologne. Now she is saying like she knows the expensive stuff on him. Like, so this guy's legit. Like he has real shit. And so and then we find out at the end of the book that he delivered her all the 4 items from the family bosses that they point out at the start of the book. So she has this very like happy face at the very end, like sly, like, interesting. So she's intrigued by this new person. I don't mind this story, but if they fucking have her date this guy or kiss this guy, or it breaks up Batman and Catwoman, this book can fucking go to hell. Because I'm tired of that storyline. Because here, you do 2 things with this. One, you break up Batman and Catwoman. That's a cardinal sin in my book already. But you're showcasing that Catwoman has no fucking self-control. And you're just putting in that stereotype that sexy women always cheat or sexy women always do this. And I fucking hate that. She knows when to use her stuff, and she doesn't have to do that, in my opinion.
So here's a question for you. Is it okay? Because you said there needs to be a hard stop. Yes. So she can use her sex appeal for her own advantages or whatever. But why is it okay for some characters, like AKA Catwoman, for people to think that she can be, let's face it, an adulterer? And, it's who Catwoman is, compared to that of a Wonder Woman or people in Marvel and things like that. Like, what is the difference? Is it just for the fact that she's Catwoman?
Well, I think that's what some writers do. So here's the thing. When you see Catwoman, do you think she was a prostitute before? Because that's out of my brain. I don't like to think of her as a prostitute.
I don't think of her ever being a prostitute, which is, I know it's a big
Frank
part
Miller
of like,
would say that she's a prostitute.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, and depending on other people, they say that's the only way she was able to survive. I don't like to think that. Yeah. I don't like to be like, this woman had to be this because of that. Like, you can be sly and do all this other shit. Her year 1 was interesting, where she was just stealing from people. I like that. But there are some people that'll say, no, she was a sex worker or whatever. And, some people could be like, well, why you're saying a sex worker couldn't like be as awesome as Catwoman? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't like that Catwoman has to rely on being a sex worker. Like, you know what I mean? As her origin story, like she could just be somebody that steals shit. Like, that's just how I view it. But no, I actually would be against her being an adulterer. Like, there's using your looks to get something you want. And then there's sleeping with people for information or whatever, right? Like that spy type shit that you see. I mean, hey, Austin Powers got mad at what's her name when she fucking slept with Fat Bastard. You know what I mean? Yeah. People's feelings get hurt. And he was like, you didn't have to do that. Although double standard there, Austin, but still. I would be just as mad if Batman hooked up with somebody, if Catwoman hooks up with somebody. Because as of right now, I see them together. If you're going to give me a bullshit story where they break up, okay, then it's free roam. They could hook up with whoever they want. But as of right now, at no point has DC broke them up. They're just kind of like, we're going to keep them separate. We're just, But she even mentioned in this book, she's like, the Bat's out of town. I'm going to do what I want. But she's never really done anything behind his back like that. And I do feel like some writers might brush that off. I hope they don't. I'm hoping Williamson's going to bring her into the fold. But I just hope I don't mind sexy Catwoman, but I don't want sexy Catwoman that's also cheating on Batman or something like that, right? Because then it's just going to, well, how are you going to tell that story? Like, you know what I mean? Are they just going to blow it off? Would Batman be cool with that? Is Batman just be like, all right, I'll just go fuck another bitch. You know what I mean? We're going to start telling that story. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't like that. And this goes down to this whole thing of like, well, I would hate if this is the mindset. Well, like, Catwoman's so sexy, she has to do that, whereas Batman can't be happy. Like, we both know those are bullshit storylines.
Juice, are you anti-sex positivity?
No, I'm super for it, but anybody that talks to me, I'm a degenerate. Like, I'm totally for it. But my thing is I also like relationships. You can like both people. you know what? It's not that hard to be into somebody that's loyal. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
these characters, I feel like I've been on the last few years. We're still reading Tom King's story right now. These two characters have went through a lot of shit to show that they love each other. You know what I mean? And if it just gets thrown out the window because they're like, I kind of want to tell a sexy Catwoman story, so I need to be able to do this, then bring in Batman. Bring in Batman. You know what? If you want to tell a story where she's maybe kind of getting close to somebody, but she's like, no, I'm not going to do this. And then maybe the guy's a villain and he's trying to play her. And then fucking Batman shows up and beats the shit out of him. And she's all like, all right, yeah, that's the guy I like. You know, something like that. Because something, you want to do some shit like that, that's totally fine. Because Tom King did that with Wonder Woman. But Batman kept his cool and he was good. And he was just like, yeah. And then she was just like, well, be better. Like, even if you were tempted, right? Everybody has temptations, so I wouldn't be mad at her having temptations. But when you cross that line is where I'm like, that's my rant about Catwoman. Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, that's kind of just, I just hope it doesn't go that way. Because that would be the baby moment. That would be the baby moment of the William like Pfeiffer storyline or whatever. Because that run was great until she had a fucking baby. And I was just like, you fucking bitch. So I'm hoping this is not the case. Because we have not had two back-to-back good writers on Catwoman in a
No, we have not.
long time.
Yeah.
So if this follows Ram V being really good, I'm totally for it. Just please don't fucking do that. But for the most part, I'm excited for what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But if she fucking bangs this Ghostmaker type dude, I'm gonna be so pissed.
One thing that we didn't mention, just before we move on to the next book, they're bringing back the classic feud between Catwoman and Black Mask. Black Mask was a part of this.
Yeah,
So
very interesting. And I love the concept of the new guys that are in town are only allowing the Black Mask or are allowing Catwoman to do what she wants because she can keep Black Mask in line, which I find is very interesting because it's usually Batman does that with villains. He allows criminals to exist as long as they're like keeping other people in line from like just senseless killing and stuff. He allows the drug trafficking and all that kind of stuff. Not all the time, but like the petty shit. He allows it because he knows, all right, if they're doing this, they're not out here killing innocent people or whatever. You know what I mean? So very intriguing in that that realm. But on top of that, let's go ahead, or moving on from that, I should say. Let's move on to Nightwing. What did you think of this? That was pretty awesome myself.
I loved this issue. It is everything that I could have possibly asked for in a Nightwing issue because it gave me something I never thought I would see again. And that is the classic Titans team coming back together.
Yeah, that was pretty fire.
Like, this is the classic, like, Marv Wolfman Titans team. Cyborg, Nightwing, Wally West Flash, Raven, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Donna Troy. Like,
Yeah.
all of them back together. We have Dick Grayson yelling out, Titans together. Like,
Yeah.
it was so good. I absolutely love this. It begins with like this whole thing, of course, with the Alfred Pennyworth Foundation and bringing that back up again to remind people, hey, this is something that Dick Grayson has done. He's in, the public eye now. That's very dangerous for him. And there's a price on his head. And it looks like, of course, that freaking, oh shoot, I forgot his name already. Blockbuster, sorry, is the one that has ordered this hit on Nightwing, and the Titans know it. The Titans know it, and they confront him with it, and it was like, hey, so we know it's you. We can't prove it, but we know it's you, and just know that we are watching you. Not just Nightwing, not the police. We are. So just a heads up.
Yeah.
And I love, like, just in the same fashion of like a classic reboot of a series or a classic like start of a series, Nightwing gets a classic redux of his costume, but it's brand new. Like, it's newly made. There's probably gonna be, hopefully not as like crazy as Tynan did with his Batman gadgets, but it's mentioned that this suit can do a whole lot more than it used to.
Yeah.
And so we're probably going to see some of those gadgets, some of those like new features of the suit within this series. And it's made by Mr. Terrific. And
Yeah, that was
I'm
cool.
really glad that you got to read more of Mr. Terrific with Tom King. So now you're like, okay, I know what this guy is capable of. And he made a suit for Nightwing. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that yeah, because I didn't have much terrific knowledge before that. This is the book that Clay pissed off
Yeah,
Tom Taylor with.
I saw the cover and I was like, oh shit.
So, just if you're remembering that, this is the book. This had one of those moments. Wait, was this the
Yeah, you,
Oh,
you said that they said something and then they explained it later. So I would like to know
yes.
what that was.
Nightwing getting bagels. Is he gets bagels, and I was like, how the fuck did he get bagels? I was like, if he's on patrol. And Barbara's like, did you go to the bagel shop in your costume? And he's like, yeah, I feel safer in this than being Dick Grayson. And I'm like, nice. Like, you explained it. Because, and I know some people will be like, you fucking really thought about that? I'm like, yes, it's the little things that make writing great. Like, it's the little fucking things, all right? I'm not Grant Morrison where I just blow off everything. And there are things I let slide, but some of the little shit I like to think of. I've always said it's so easy. It just takes a comment to make things believable in comics. So I
Yeah.
like that. I was like, cool. Who wouldn't want Nightwing to show up in their bagel shop? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's wearing a mask, so fuck it. Like, he probably got him for free, you know? So, like, I like this. You already mentioned everything else, like the awesomeness. I was really confused about the Flash because I was like, obviously this is the Teen Titans, but this looks like Barry and not Wally.
Yeah.
So I was confused by that, but you explained that I guess Barry is captured right now.
Yeah, he is captured via Darkseid in another
But
book.
is this still Watchman Wally? Like, because
Yes,
didn't he turn into?
he has been redeemed. Yes, and
Okay,
all of that has been like fixed and whatnot.
but
Uh
does he have Doctor Manhattan power still, or didn't he get that?
he I'm trying to remember.
Because I remember that cover. I don't know. I didn't read the story.
Yeah, no, he basically shit, did they
It's been like 2 years.
it has been like 2 years. I am pretty sure he technically doesn't have those powers anymore because of
Mm-hmm.
what happened in like this new series of like after Death
Mm.
Metal, like post Infinite Frontier.
I don't even know how Death Metal ended because we stopped reading it.
Yeah, no,
So,
but post Infinite Frontier, basically what ended up happening is uh Wally was losing his powers,
mm-hmm.
and like the Speed Force thrusted him into the past, and he basically lived through the lives basically Bruce Wayne's
Oh yeah, yeah,
story, and he
mm-hmm.
lived through the different reiterations of speedsters in
Yeah.
Earth's history. So he like the very first speedster was a caveman apparently, and
Mm.
then he like went into the future at one point to be Impulse, and then he came back into the past and he was Jay Garrick for a while, and like he went through everybody.
Yeah.
Um, and then he was finally able to come back, and he was like reset basically.
Mm-hmm.
So he
Interesting.
has all of his normal powers.
Yeah. So I love this book. I thought the whole Teen Titans thing was cool. I do have one criticism. It's a small thing. I don't like that Raven was all like, "We heard your speech and we kind of loved it." I'm like, "You're giving away his identity, Raven." I didn't like that. So, like, just a little annoying thing like that. Now, I thought about it too because I like to think about both sides. There's a lot of commotion going on. You could say maybe they have communicators in their ears, so she's
Yeah,
not talking as loud, so they probably wouldn't hear it. But I mean, they also don't have somebody on the team right now like Miss Martian that could telepathically do them, so it can't be that excuse. But yeah, I was just like, come on, Raven, you're giving away his fucking identity. But yeah, the whole rest of the book was fucking fire. I love that Starfire confronted Blockbuster. I thought that
yeah,
was awesome. But yeah, I think everybody was pretty cool. And one thing we didn't mention was there was actually two snipers that were trying to kill Dick Grayson that were hired by Blockbuster. The other one was Hawk. I think that's what his name, right? Gunhawk. and he got taken out by our other villain,
Yeah.
Heartless.
Yeah.
I think it's his name, right?
Hmm.
And he was all like, "Do you have somebody that cares about you?" He's like, "Yeah, me and so and so are like, we can't be separated." He's like, "Good," and he fucking takes his heart because somebody cares about him. I was like, "Oh shit!" Just reiterating that, like, oh, this is the badass villain in the book, not
Yeah.
Blockbuster.
Gun
This is the
Bunny
villain.
and Gun Hawk
Yeah,
are the sniper duos or whatever.
yeah. So never heard of these characters before.
No,
So
I think he may have created these
yeah.
characters.
But Barbara says, I know them. So like she knows what to expect. So I thought
Mhm.
that was pretty cool. But yeah, for the most part, this is what I'm gonna say. Tom Taylor in the next book has to talk about the sister because it's been way too long.
It
She's
has
in
been
this
too
book.
long. She is barely in this book. She does
Yeah.
have like one line of dialogue, and then she's like quickly shut up or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I want that to come back into rotation.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't take too long to do it, because then it becomes a like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and I don't think that's ever a good way of telling stories.
Yeah. No. I don't agree with that either. So he has to bring that up pretty soon. I just scrubbed through Robin's 3 and it ends with the Joker Robin chick, which I don't know what's happening in that story. Like we're
Yeah,
not
no,
covering that, by the way, guys.
we
Yeah.
missed. Well, I think you skimmed issue 2 as well, right?
Yeah, but
You
she wasn't in
barely.
it.
Yeah,
Like
like it started off kind of like, eh.
yeah.
We didn't really love it, so unfortunately I don't think we're going to be covering it from here on out.
Yeah, so Nightwing was dope. And then moving on to Detective. What did you think of the Detective? Love the art in this book.
Love the art. I think the art is the best thing about this book. I am a little confused as of what kind of fucking story they're telling.
Mhm.
And the reason why is, how the fuck or why the fuck is Huntress here?
Okay, I think I got this because I was thinking about it too. I think this is long-term storytelling. We've said that a lot today.
Hmm.
But I think that cuz I do this as a writer, I like to think books ahead. Like where my ultimate thing is going to end, right? But I'm
Yeah.
like how's it going to get there? I think Tamaki's doing this. I think that's why she got the stupid parasite powers, so she could go to Arkham, because remember those powers let her know when somebody's about to die or somebody's being attacked. We find
Hmm.
that out here when she's gonna when that Anna whatever face, the Scissor Girl,
Yeah.
is gonna fucking fuck up that one guy that's essentially trying to sexually assault her. Like that's what we know is happening.
Yeah.
She's being able to feel that, and she was like, I can see this on the other side of the wall, like through her brain or whatever power she has. So she's trying to take these medicines to get away from that. That's what's happening with Huntress.
So are we going to see a Huntress that is like struggling with like drug addiction and like shit like that?
Could be because she was super happy, like, you should go, Batwoman, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
fine. So she's obviously taking the drugs. But then when the drugs wore off is when she started freaking out.
Yeah.
So I think we are, which is not
That's
bad.
not bad at all.
Yeah.
Um
So, because I was
and we
like,
even so this is weird, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like we kind of have a Dick Grayson that's like, well, if she doesn't want to do shit, fuck her. Like kind of mentality. Kind of.
yeah, interesting.
It is interesting, and I wonder, because I haven't read Grayson. I
Mhm.
haven't read the full run of Grayson on Tom
Okay.
King and who was it? Tim Seeley, I think it was.
Yes, yes.
So I haven't read that entire run, but I have read Nightwing
Mhm.
Rebirth, and I know that there was a little bit of tension between Nightwing and Huntress.
Yeah.
So maybe there's still a little bit of history that Nightwing's just like, I know she's a part of the Bat family, but you know, if she
Yeah.
doesn't want to be helped, we can't force her to get out of there, and just, I know that is the sensible thing to do, but it's fucking Arkham.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious. I don't know if they're gonna reveal more of the story because we are kind of still dealing with the flashback type of thing. Like we know this is all gonna go to shit soon. Like we found that out in issue 1. So
So, well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know if something happened between Huntress and Nightwing prior to this that they're
Mhm.
gonna reveal. Because remember he's also working in there. So, or at least that's what the first book showed. So, I'm very curious on what's happening there. This also could be like how Nightwing usually turns into Batman when he's not around. This could
Yeah.
be that kind of Nightwing, you
Mhm.
know? So, because Batman won't deal with difficult shit. Like if he knows you can take care of yourself, he's not gonna worry about you too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
So
at the same time, making that note of, oh, while Batman's not around, Nightwing usually takes that mantle, reminds me of another detective run, which I own. It's currently in boxes. There was a time where Batwoman took over the detective book, and
mhm.
we are getting a lot of
Yep.
Kate Kane.
Hmm.
And like that first page where we see her like getting a flashback and it's like the blood all over her feet and stuff, and she's there with Batman.
Yeah.
Dude, this fucking art, man, it is amazing. I,
Yeah.
I I love it. I love every single scene that we see the Batwoman costume in.
Mhm.
It's great. Um,
Blows my mind that she hasn't had a better series.
and even and I'm not knocking this era because I absolutely agree with it. Like, especially in this pro like LGBTQ, like
Yeah,
where is her like I know that they've done Justice League Queer in like the side
yeah,
stories and like the oh, it's Pride Month. We're getting this like 50-page one shot.
mhm.
Like, I think Kate Kane, especially, I mean, technically it's a different Batwoman, but even with a show, like why isn't she getting a series?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ryan Wilder or whatever the fuck, I don't give a fuck about I don't give a fuck about anything that's happening on the Batwoman show.
True.
Had Ruby Rose not become a diva and they kept going, I think I'd still be watching the show. But we
Yeah.
know here, if you guys listen to the podcast, the moment they switched the main characters, I stopped giving a fuck about that show.
Yeah.
Maybe I would drop off. I don't know if it's good. I don't even know. I didn't finish watching the end of the first season because I was like, what's the point? What is
Yeah.
the fucking point? So I stopped. But we have always mentioned Batwoman in Afghanistan, because she's a soldier, written by Tom King, would be fucking fire. And
Yeah.
I think it would be awesome because there was that one mini stories of her like in Al Qaeda or some shit,
Yeah, the
like
very
doing some
first
black ops
issue
stuff.
of Legends of the Dark Knight. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or no,
fucking
no, it was
fire.
Gotham Knights. It was Gotham
Yeah, there's
Knights.
so many. Which I need to buy all those one day. But Batwoman, she has arguably one of the best Bat Family suits, in my opinion. Like the red
Mhm.
and black is just awesome.
It looks so good.
Yeah. And so it blows my mind. And maybe like you mentioned that she was in like a bunch of Pride books. Maybe that's when people don't take her serious because they're like, oh, they're just doing it because of Pride. They're just doing it for that. And I think a lot of when you unfortunately put your characters that are part of these like, communities in only those types of books, people think you're pandering. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and I think that's probably the problem. But they should just give her own series. Now, I think it was Rucka that did the New 52. Might have been. Could be wrong. But
Was it
that run
Rucka?
wasn't too bad. Like, it was interesting. She had a lot of supernatural Latino characters
Yeah.
as villains, which was really cool. I think she fought La Llorona at one
Yeah.
point, which was nuts. And the art in that was amazing. So, like, I would really love to see somebody like an Ed Brubaker or a Tom King, somebody that can write like a good noir story paired with a really good artist, take on Batwoman because I think she could be. I think she has the power to carry her own movie, in my opinion, because
Oh
she's a
yeah, I think so.
badass.
Yeah.
And I would also love to see a Batman and Batwoman story. You know what I mean? Because they're literal family. Literal. They're cousins. So like you could have like this deep cut kind of story of like them growing up together or some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously they've kind of written it to where, after his parents died, they kind of grew apart, which is believable. I'm not super close with my cousins that I grew up with.
So
So,
Greg Rucka wrote the uh, pre New 52, the detective run, and
okay.
the New 52 series was written by J.H. Williams the Third.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was Rucka. Interesting. He was doing Wonder Woman, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Rucka did Wonder Woman in the New
Yeah.
52.
Anyways, going back to the story though itself, we've gushed about Batwoman for a while. Batwoman looks amazing in this book. She's doing a bunch of detective shit as her persona as a doctor in this book. And she only has clearance for a few floors, is what
Hmm.
we find out, which is like,
And then after a grace period, like a probationary period, that's when she starts to like get access to more floors.
yeah,
It
which she
doesn't
makes a
look like, well,
yeah,
I don't think the series is going to last that long because we
yeah.
already know that shit hits the fan pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty soon. We get a conversation of Ware talking to a drug dealer because what ends up happening is we got confirmation of the whole scissor thing. Like, because I know you mentioned you're like, why the fuck do they have scissors?
Yeah.
And it's because they've tested it out and they're like, yo, these we've okayed it. They've been okayed by doctors, all this kind of stuff. So another thing, the information, cool, awesome. And then she sees somebody, which was a flashback you were talking about. She sees somebody from her past who is just like docile and chill. And this guy was like a murderer. And
Yeah.
he was like, can I have more glue? And she's like, are you fucking? He's like, I need more paper too. Like, if you can give me that. And she's
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck? Like, there's no way this guy is this chill. And I want to see how this is going to play out, but they mentioned this a couple of times in this book. But the villains love to talk about movies, especially violent ones.
Yeah. I don't know because they're all talking about like almost the exact same movie.
Yeah. Is it Code?
I I don't know.
I
I
think it
feel
might
like
be
it might
Code.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we know that they're going to take over at some point. So might be possibly Code, because the doctor's like, they're not supposed to be talking about this, but they still talk about it. So just
Hmm.
FYI. And then we see some creepy doctor dude trying to go after the Anna chick, the scissor girl. And he's like, here, let me get you back to your room. And I love that Batwoman notices this
Right
because
off the
this
bat. Yeah.
happens in the real world. And if you ever see creepy shit like, well, see, this is also very dangerous because there are people out there that fake this so they can get you in a vulnerable situation, and the girl's actually in on it. So it's pretty dangerous too.
Yeah.
But Batwoman goes because he sees some creepy thing happening, and he goes over to this. He's like, "Hey, I will take the patient." And this doctor dude is like, "I got it, don't worry." And he's all like, "No." She like literally says, "No, I will take her to her room," and blah blah blah. And the guy's all like, all right, whatever, fucking
You
whatever.
don't have to
And
be such a bitch, is what he
yeah,
fucking says. I'm like, how the fuck did you get hired here?
yeah.
Like,
So this causes Batwoman, what we assume, to make a complaint to
mhm,
Ware about this guy. And that's when we see this conversation of like, hey, one of your drug buddy people is causing problems, and I cannot have a scandal before I get this $6 million check. So
yeah.
we see Ware's bad side now. He's working with drug dealers. We don't know what kind of drug he has. This super like hip hop type of character.
But I love the reason why we see it. You know, because
Mhm.
you always can watch a movie or read a book where it's like, oh, here's the hero side of things and here's the
Yeah,
villain side of things. And then we're getting both stories and then eventually they clash. The reason why we see this story is because freaking Orphan is right outside
yeah.
in surveillance and she is getting all of this. So
Hmm.
this is just more information that the Bat family has against Arkham Tower.
Yeah. And so I think that's really cool. And so we find out like Ware's true intentions, which I'm okay with now because I'm like, all right, so he is a shitbag. I don't have to feel bad that he got thrown out of a window in issue 1. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, he's gonna get his. I know that. So that's kind of cool. And then it kind of ends with the whole Huntress thing. We see Batwoman talking to Huntress, and she's like, you need to go. And she's like, the alarms are gonna get set off. And she was like, how did that even happen? Did Huntress do that to me? And that's when she talks to Dick Grayson and Barbara and all that kind of shit. And then she talks about the nightmares or whatever, or like hearing the voices of that girl because that guy goes to her room and he's like, what are you still doing up so late? Maybe we can do something about that. Like creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
And she's all like, yeah, okay. And then she's like charging at him with her nails. And then you hear Huntress saying, like, I can hear her nails dragging into his skin. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so she's fucking that guy up, which is cool. So yeah, all around, still very intrigued by this story. Now, I do feel like it's all over the place at some points, but seeing that it seems like this might be a long-term story that, oh wow, what's her name? The writer? I'm forgetting her name right now.
Tamaki.
Tamaki. I was gonna say Nakano. Tamaki is writing. I'm intrigued. I will say that I'm interested in the next episode. The art really has me. I'm really excited by the art, and yeah, I'm actually kind of glad this comes out weekly. To be
Yeah.
honest, it's
Yeah,
nice.
it works out really, really nice. Now we do have the back end
Oh
Matthew
no shit.
Rosenberg's story about the kid still. Um I am still digging this. We get a very young Jonathan Crane
Yeah.
taking care of these kids. And I do like how eventually we even see that there's like people in charge that are like, hey, you're not technically qualified for this. We need to get somebody else. And
Yeah.
he basically even says, "Oh, I know I'm not qualified, but they're great for study." I'm like, "What
Yeah.
the fuck?"
I got some pedo vibes in this, man. Like,
Yeah,
Crane was kind of weird.
it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But at the same like it's very awkward and weird because like you see Crane being a good person in the sense of like he's not going to just let kids beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, how does that make you feel?"
Mhm.
Okay, well, did you want to do this? Did you want to do that? Blah blah blah. And then this kid wakes up in the middle of the night to see fucking Scarecrow just hanging around everybody's bed. And he's like, "What the fuck?" He's freaking out.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, don't worry, dude. It's me." He's like, "Okay, how is that supposed to make me feel any better
Yeah.
about the situation we're in?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, I'm just studying. I'm doing tests." He's like, "You watch little kids and that's
Yeah.
your test?" He's like, "Yes, but it's more about the fear and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, okay, I guess. It's
Yeah.
not great on Crane's side at all.
No, no. It was,
But
really weird. Yeah, I agree.
we eventually get to the point, like I said, we have these people in charge that are like seeing the amount of anger coming out of these kids and whatnot. And so they do say, hey, we're going to get other people in charge. And
Yeah.
Crane sees his opportunity and he's like, no, no, you're not. These are my children. Very, very creepy. He puts them in a van,
Yeah.
a windowless van at the very end of this. And he convinces the kid to go in to this
Yeah.
van because
And they're
he's
yeah,
not even under the
the spell.
gas. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're gonna go kill Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting. I will say not as thrilling as the last two stories, in my opinion,
Hmm.
but I'm interested to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Did get some weird vibes from Scarecrow though. I was just like,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Like, it's just he's a criminal. What do you expect? They're gonna be creepy. But for the most part, solid. Minus Chip Zdarsky, great week of
Yeah.
comics, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Next week is going to be pretty jam packed. It looks like we got Vampires #4. We got the Batcat special. We have the part 4 of Detective. Peacemaker is getting something. Then there's Robin's 10 or Robin 10. Also, there is Superman and Robin. What is that? I don't know what that's going to be. It's
Next
a
week?
special. Yeah. 25th, right? Because we're already past my birthday, so I know this is pretty
I
close.
do not see.
And Human Target 4.
Oh, there is a Superman and Robin special.
So there's a
Oh,
lot.
this is the Super Sons return.
Oh, really?
This is Superman John, not Superman
Oh.
Clark. So we are going to see the Super Sons back together. Even in the last, if you remember, the last. Well, I guess you didn't read this. I read this. Sorry, this isn't even something you read. In the last Superman book written by Tom Taylor, they depict Robin as looking a little older.
Hmm.
Um, he does look a little older than what he does in the Robin book, but I think that's art wise because of how like anime style the Robin's
Yeah.
book or the Robin book is. But he does look older, and even in this, he does look a little bit older. When you look at the, I think it's the George Jimenez cover that's on this. So I'm looking very forward to this. I think it is technically still written by Peter Tomasi, the original writer of the Super Sons. So
Nice.
I know it's going to be a good time. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
So, yeah, we have a lot of books for next week. Definitely look forward to. But Clay, this is getting near our longest podcast ever today. What do you got coming up on this week, man?
So this week is going to be very limited. I just happened to work out as far as time wise today to record with you. I am swamped with homework for the rest of the weekend. So you guys will normally just see me on DC Alliance talking all the stuff that we talked about as far as entertainment wise, talking a little bit about the Hawkman and Hawkgirl news, more of the Batgirl stuff. Go check that out. On Star Wars Alliance, we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett. We're actually going to be doing a review for one of the latest High Republic novels that has released earlier this month. And I think that is it.
Nice. There's a lot going on. Yeah, I had to scramble to do everything today because Clay was all like, dude, we probably can't record till Saturday. I was like, all right, cool, it's all good. So I was all like, I'm gonna work on some videos, I'm gonna go watch a movie. I was actually gonna go to the theater today, which is something I don't do anymore. But there's an anime movie out right now, and nobody's fucking watching it, meaning I'd have the theater to myself. So I was gonna go do that, and he was like, oh, I can record at 3. And I was like, fuck! I was like, damn it. All right, let me read everything and watch Peacemaker. But yeah, so anyways, I've been making a lot of content on both of my channels, the reaction channel and the gaming channel. Highly suggest you guys go subscribe, check out the new content. Been posting every single day on TikTok, which is pretty crazy because I'm trying to get the attention of one Ludwig. But we'll see. He will accept my challenge one day. But this is not the longest podcast. We're already 2 hours and 41 minutes into this podcast. Our longest one was almost 3 hours, which was the disappointing fandom one. So,
oh shit,
pretty crazy. That was 2 hours and 56 minutes. But that is going to be it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget to go to YouTube and drop your questions for next week. But as always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome. See you guys next time.
News Weekly.